and welcome to another episode of Podcast 572. As always, I'm your host, Kyle. I'm joined by my two friends, Dan and Matt, and we're going to do what we do every 2 weeks. We're going to go through what we've been playing. We got a lot of news to talk about. A lot of shit happened in the last 2 weeks. And then we got a lot of emails as well. So I'm going to kick it off right away. So there's one game that Dan and I have both played. I'm going to save that till the end of my portion of what we've been playing so we can talk about it together. So I'll briefly talk about, I have one really big game I need to talk about, and then I have a couple smaller things. I'll start with As Dusk Falls. So I played the first chapter of it, and I'm going to go back to it once I finish the big game I'm playing right now. It's cool. It's really good. It's the coolest thing I can say about it is it's a really interesting story. More so than like I would liken it to like a Telltale Games, except it has an engine that works. If that makes sense. So there are definitely QuickTime events in it, but they're very subtle, but they actually work. There's no like hitches or anything like that, and maybe that's because there's a stylistic choice in this game of like it's kind of almost like moving pictures than it is actually like animations. Yeah. So I don't understand why the game is a 68 gigabyte download on the Xbox. But I mean, it still baffles me.
4K pictures.
Other thing that's really cool to point out, one of the main characters in the game is actually voiced by the guy that played Adam Jensen in the Deus Ex games.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I thought that was pretty cool. But it's like it's a two-sided story. So on one side of the story, you're like a family that is moving from California out to the Midwest because of something that happened at the dad's job. They've kind of started to talk about it in the first chapter, but they've kind of left it alone. So it's like it's your wife, it's your daughter, and then the father's dad, who is like is kind of estranged. They kind of start talking about like their past relationship. And then the flip side of it, I would say, are like these local, I'd say they're probably in their 20s, like group of 20-year-olds that like live in this town. I think two of them are brothers and the other one's like a friend, and they're kind of hooligans. They go to basically go to rob a house, but the house ends up being like the sheriff of the town's house.
Oh no.
And like it gets pretty interesting, like just that portion of it. But both of these stories kind of intersect at this motel. And so that's kind of where I'm at right now. Like the end of the first chapter, like you kind of get held up by these people, and that's kind of where the story gets to that point. So then you're making decisions of like, as you're being held up, like, do you take this person's gun and try to turn it on them? Do you just stand there, kind of thing? Do you let them know? One of the big ones is like, do you let them know that your wife and kid are sleeping in the room on the other side of the hotel? Or do you just say it's you and your dad? Because it's only you and your dad in this room. And I'll say, like, if you say that you don't have anybody else, that can come back to haunt you.
So it does play like a Telltale game where like
absolutely
choices matter. Like
choices matter.
Different. Okay.
Yeah, choices matter, but it also seems like the choice variation is pretty wild, depending on what you choose. Is how the story branches out. Okay. Because like at the end of the first chapter, they show you kind of like a tree of like how the story can go with things that are grayed out. Obviously, they don't spoil anything. And like it branches out pretty far. Like there's like 3 paths and they go pretty far. So there's definitely a lot of replayability there.
So would you say it's almost kind of like an Until Dawn thing where it's like butterfly effect type stuff?
Yeah, kind of. But again, like I don't know. I don't want to say that this game is lower budget because of the animation. Because again, it's
I'm
like
not saying that.
Okay.
But, I'm not saying that.
Because everything else of it is like extremely high quality. The voice acting, the writing, I think is higher than some of those games, at least what I played. But yeah, I would put it in the same category as like an Until Dawn or I haven't played The Quarry, but any of those Dark Pictures games.
Okay.
I put it in the same category. From what I've read, it's like 10 to 12 hours long total. So it's meant to be replayed a couple times.
How many? So you've played through what, chapter 1?
Just the first chapter.
How many are there? Like probably like 5?
5 chapters.
Okay.
So it's not very long. The problem is when I literally started it, and then the very next day, I'm not going to go into, I had a life event happen and I could not get back to it for a couple of days. And then after that happened, I came back, and then the big game that I'm going to talk about came out. So I've been playing that. Another thing I'll talk about, just because I got fucked over on it. Dan knows about it. There's a giant bug in Power Wash Simulator that's out there. And I have a little more to say on it that you don't even know now, Dan, because I just messed with it on
Oh,
PC
even
before we
better.
recorded.
Oh no.
For whatever reason, my cloud save syncs on PC just fine. So I was able to go back. I tested it. I sprayed, some water, cleaned an area, quit out of the game, went back into it, and it was fine. But what happened is on the Xbox, I was playing last weekend, and in the middle of my game, all of a sudden, like a system level message pops up on the screen, which I never see happen. And it just says, we're out of storage. We can't save this game anymore, basically. And I'm like, no, I have like 400 gigabytes free on this hard drive. That doesn't make any sense. So I just click to X out of the message, and it just keeps popping up. And it's the type of message that it prevents you from playing the game because it's a system level message. So after battling this for a while and then Googling it, trying to figure it out, and I should have just went to Reddit because I got the answer when I went to Reddit right away. I tried a couple things. I tried uninstalling, reinstalling the game. That seemed to solve it for a little bit. Then it came back. Then I tried actually just deleting my hard save on the system, letting it sync from the cloud, which took forever. Even then, it's still having the problem. So then I was like, I'll go to the subreddit and see. And there's so many people talking about this on the subreddit. So it's a known issue with the console version of the game. I did not check at that time if it was a problem with the PC version because it's a Play Anywhere game. So you can play it on, you can play it on your phone. I've done that. So today, before we were recording, because I still have it installed on my PC, I was like, I'm just going to mess around with it for a little bit and see what happens. And I was able to play just fine. So it's got to be related just to the Xbox version, which sucks because like I put like 30 plus hours into that game now. So
yeah,
it's kind of a bummer, but
man.
I'll probably just mess with it on PC because with the keyboard and mouse, it's actually a little bit more easy to handle cleaning some stuff in that game.
Sure, more precise.
But just more of a like PSA. If you're going to play that game, just be careful of that. I don't know of a way for someone to like avoid that happening. It seems just random.
Well, like we were talking about before. That reminds me of the old like Skyrim problems.
Yeah,
that like the PS3 had, where like that game would just get too full. And on Xbox, I think Oblivion did it too, where like the game would just get too full with like all of the stuff it had loaded, and then it would just crash over time.
Yeah, like the only time I've ever had that happen with me was Fallout 4. Where I had to do one of those delete a bunch of saves and then let it sync from the cloud. And that was just me going from switching systems.
And you had to clear like your system cache and all that kind of stuff.
It took forever to sync that save. But at least it was playable after that. Last thing I'll talk about before I jump into the big game. Pac-Man World Repack is out today. I have it. I'll tell the wonderful story of it. So
digital or physical?
Physical. Okay. I have a physical Xbox copy of this game.
Okay.
So I've had it reserved on Amazon for like 2 months now.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Whenever they were like, here's physical versions of it.
Okay.
And so I thought it was weird this morning. I when I woke up, I was like, man, I didn't get the normal like Amazon your thing shipped email. So I went to go look at it, and it still says like delivery date pending. I'm like, okay. So I click on it. I go to the page for it on Amazon where it says, oh, it's currently out of stock. Like they just ignored my reserve of it for 2+ months. But every other version of the game is available. PS4, PS5, Switch, like you name it, it's in stock. Just not this Xbox version. So I'm like, okay, I guess I'll just get it from somewhere else. So I go to Best Buy's website. They're sold out of it only on the Xbox. But they have it everywhere else as well. And I'm like, maybe they're just not making this Xbox version. So a last-ditch effort, I went to Walmart's, like, because I have that on my phone as well. Yeah. They say they have it in stock, and they have it locally. So I'm like, all right, I guess I'll cancel the Amazon thing. I'll just order it here. And so the order went through and everything. I don't know what happened, but I got it today. Literally, somebody, and I don't have, like, the Walmart Plus thing, so I don't know if it got confused. Literally what they did was when I ordered this game and I said, ship to my house, somebody from that store got in one of their little, like, their like personal truck or whatever and delivered it to my house like 2 hours later.
Yeah, they do that.
Like all of a sudden, okay, it blew my mind because also I got a little text thing. It was like, so-and-so's on your way with your copy of blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, what? And then this dude showed up in his pickup truck and just threw it on my front porch. I was like,
okay. They definitely do that because like when the pandemic shit was going on.
They're probably trying to combat Amazon as well, right?
Well, yeah, but I mean that was primarily what we used when that kind of stuff was going on. Was we used Amazon or Walmart? So yeah, it's like
That
Walmart
just blew
DoorDash.
my mind because I'm like, okay, well that's here today. So
He's a Walmart DoorDash.
Yeah, I mean that's basically what it was.
Yeah, it was in stock at my local. I was just like, I don't have time to run out there today. So, but I have that now. So probably next time we record, I'll be able to talk about that game. It's just I haven't had a chance. So we'll talk about the big game I've been playing, which I wrote in our document in all caps, Saints fucking Row.
Yeah.
So before I even go into what I think about it, I think it's important to note like critics have really panned this game hard.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the reason why they're panning it is a lot of technical issues. There's a lot of glitches. It just feels like an unpolished game, I guess would be the easiest way to say it.
Sure.
I fully believe I've played 10 hours of the game now. I fully believe they did not have a day one patch out for the critics because I have seen some glitches and I've seen some dumb shit. I had one pretty weird glitch at the beginning of the game. I have not seen the multitude of shit that these people are talking about. Okay. So I don't know if it's another one of those victims of like, well, we didn't get that day one patch out in time. Ooh, that affected our reviews. That's what I'm thinking.
It's possible. I mean, it happens a lot.
On that side of the game, I don't think it's that terrible for technical things. It's fine. With that being said, the only weird, like real glitch I had, and it happened within the first 5 minutes of me loading the game up, was you load the game up, you have your intro cutscene, and then you create your character if you haven't already done that in that boss app thing they put out. So I'm in the middle of creating my character, and I go just to click on one of the options, and that menu just won't open. And I just sit there and keep clicking it. Like I can hear it in the background like it's opening, but nothing is happening. I literally sat there and I was like, well, here we go with Saints Row, I guess. So I dashed it, closed it out, reopened it, and then never had that happen. I was able to get through that, create my character and everything just fine. So my problems with the game aren't like technical. Like you see some of the stuff like it definitely is a game that like it could have used more polish. It has some frame rate issues. I'm lucky enough that I have one of those VRR TVs. So throwing that on cleans up a lot of the frame rate issues. With that being said, this game has 7 performance modes, which is ridiculous.
So weird.
Jeez.
So it has 3 1080p ones with 2 variations of those 3 that are ray tracing. It has 2 1440p modes, and then it has one like full 4K. The 4K one is terrible. The frame rate is just awful.
Yeah, I'm sure it's not even working. Yeah.
I'm running it on the 1440p high frame rate one, and then like I said with the VR TV, like it cleans it up, so it looks fine. That's the only other thing I'd say that's crazy. I'm like, I don't know why this game has 7 performance modes. None of them lock the frame rate either, so that causes issues. My biggest issue with the game is the story and the characters, because it's not, so there's no, at least I've only played 10 hours. So is there a possibility that they will reference the previous games? Sure. I don't think they're going to though, from what I've played.
They don't have any similar characters. Like none of the other people show up at all.
Not really. Like, here's the thing I'll say, like in the 10 hours I played of this game, like I'm a Saints Row fan. I can still name after 10 years. It's been 10 years since the last Saints Row. I can still tell you who Pierce is, who Shondi is,
Kinsey,
Johnny Gat, Kinsey. Like those are characters I remember. In this game, none of these characters are memorable. They just seem like caricatures of like different stereotypes. So you have the Michelle Rodriguez type character that is a getaway driver. She's one of the roommates. You have, I call him the DJ dude. He's the guy that you've seen in the trailers. He's got like the DJ helmet on.
Yeah.
That runs around shirtless, got a bunch of tattoos. And then you have, I want to say the guy's name is like Elliot. He's like your typical, like if you ever watch any mob movie, there's always the one guy that handles the numbers that doesn't want to pick up a gun. He's that character. He's literally that character. So like the purpose of this game is like you and your 3 roommates we're all college buddies. 2 of them are in 2 of the different gangs that are in the town that you're in right now. And then you're in what I would call the 3rd gang, but instead of being a gang, it's a private military corporation called the Marshals.
Okay.
And so when the game starts, you're trying out for the Marshals. So there's like an interesting sequence there, but your other 2 buddies are in competitive gangs. One of them is like and that's the thing. I don't even remember what the name of these games are, to be honest. There's like, I think one of them is called the Idols, which is like the DJ one. They have a bunch of neon and play electronic music and dance and shit. And then the other one is like your typical like street thug game where they're, you know, stealing cars and you know, turning them into hot rods and shit. So, and that's the one that Michelle Rodriguez character is a part of.
Of course.
So, and then your third guy that does numbers, he's not in a gang. But you're all roommates, and it's the first problem I have with the story is like basically they all decide one day, you know, shit, you know, life's really hard. We want to make money for, you know, so we can pay our rent, pay our student loans. We'll just go rob a loan place. And they just casually go rob this loan place. And I just sat there like, I don't think anybody out there just thinks this way. Like, it's just that part of it. Again, it's Saints Row. It's not supposed to be realistic, but like, that just doesn't make sense to me. Like, you wouldn't just get in, like, you and your buddies would just get in the car and go, let's go rob a loan place and then drive back and we'll use this to pay our fucking rent. You know, like that, like no qualms. So you do that,
like
and then after
a fun Saturday though.
Exactly, right? And so then they fucking do this, and they come back, and then like your character, the boss or whatever, she's like, wow, you know, why do we keep doing this for other people? We should just do it for ourselves, you know. And then basically you start your own gang. The Saints part of it comes into you go and after you do a couple missions again, you're like, we need to have our own hideout. So they go and get this church, right?
Okay.
So when they're walking around this like abandoned church and they're, you know, getting ready to take it over, she like peels back something and they show like a Saints logo. So I was like, oh, they're going to talk about the Saints Row. And they're just like, wow, that's like a Saints logo. And then she looks on the ceiling. She sees like an angelic picture. And she's like, I think we'll call our game the Saints. And that's literally how they come up with it. So no reference to the original.
That would have been
Saints
a good, easy way to just like nod to the fact that the other games existed, and then just you could ignore it from that point.
Exactly, or like just anything. And like I'm thinking about other things in the previous games. Like remember that Professor Genki character?
Yeah,
where you'd like go and do there's
the weird game show stuff. Yeah,
exactly. There is one thing that's kind of like it. It's a battle royale island, but it's not the same. It's more, I guess it'd be more modern because it's a YouTube thing in this world. Because eventually that's what you use to like recruit people to your game. So, which is kind of cool. So the story part of this game is what's losing focus for me because I'm just I'm just not feeling the story of it like I have for the other Saints Row. But some of the other aspects of it are good. So like, for example, there's a whole, like in each, I'd say like at least Saints Row 2, 3, and 4. I don't remember much of the first because that's like 15 fucking years ago.
Wow, that was a different game than the other.
And that literally was just a San Andreas clone before they said, hey, we can do more with this. So you have like you build your empire by like buying different shops, right? So you'll build these, what you do is you build them up, they'll make money for you, but before they make money for you, those are the activities that you have to go and do, like the previous Saints Row games. So that's how it's a little different here. So like, for example, I, of course, built the hospital, which leads you to everybody's favorite insurance fraud minigame, which one huge positive thing I'll say, this is the best fucking version of the insurance fraud mode I've ever seen.
Well, okay.
The Saints Row game. When you get combos going, the cars fucking explode.
That's cool.
And so they just, and you keep, so like you'll hit one, it explodes, you fly up in the air, you come back down, hit another car, that car explodes. If you time it just right, you can get like into an intersection where a bunch of cars will pile up and you hit that. It's absurd. That's like the one part of the game where I can accept the frame rate tanking because it's just ridiculous.
Right.
So I'm like, I don't fucking care anymore. This is great. So that has been really good. That's the only side activity I've really done other than a couple like Hitman missions, which is just, it's a contract mission. They tell you who to go kill, you go kill them. But that's how they handle the like side stuff in this game, which I actually think is cool because once you finish those, then that business will start generating money for you and so on. So it's kind of a way to keep that carrot going. For the player. Only other thing I'll say about like elements of the different games. So the game has I would say it's a varying soundtrack. You definitely unlock songs for like the radio as you beat missions, but like I like the song "Bleed" by Meshuggah a lot. I've heard it like 100 times in this game in this 10 hours because it's on a loop. So like every time you start, it starts with whatever the loop of the radio station is. So it'll play like its first. It's like the second or third song in the loop. So by that point is about the point every time I'm getting in a car and I put on that station, it's like, here we go again.
Right.
So, I don't know. Like I'm just mixed on it. Cause like there's elements of it I really enjoy. And then there's parts of it where I'm like, it just doesn't feel like Saints Row at the same time. It just feels kind of like an open world. It sounds
like a really good Black Friday purchase.
It's a great so it's great that the game is not a $70 game at least. I'll say that, but like I would say it's a great Black Friday like $30 purchase. I would like to see what the co-op's like in the game. That's the one thing I haven't tried. I haven't heard anything like if that works, if it's broken.
Yeah, I don't.
That's the one thing all the reviews have like avoided talking about because it is fully 2-player co-op like the previous games.
Okay, I mean that was always a plus for those games.
The other thing I'll say is like if this game is struggling to run properly on the current systems, I can't imagine what it looks like on a previous gen system.
It can't be good.
So I have no idea like at all. So I would say Saints Row, like just initial 10-hour impressions. If you're somebody out there that's like looking to play it, maybe wait for it to be on sale. Get it for like the $30. I think $30 is really good. I mean, if you're a Saints Row fan, you've already waited 10 years, so you can wait a couple more months.
That's a good point.
So it's not like it's not going to kill you. It's also not like, it's not the next huge thing like whatever GTA 6 might be when it comes out, if that's what people are looking for here. It's just another Saints Row, but a little bit less. Like, it's almost like, the other thing I'll say is like the humor is tonally off in the game. It's almost like they want to play things safe, so they're afraid to make certain jokes. Like there's no dildo bats in this game like the previous one. There's no fun weapons. There's no dubstep gun or fucking America gun that's just like shooting a bunch of fireworks. Right. There's nothing like that in this game. But then the jokes that are in it are kind of lame, and then they try to clean that up by just having characters say fuck a lot.
Well,
like a lot. And that part of it, I'm just like, I get it, man. You're an M-rated game. So, I don't know. $30, like you said, Black Friday purchase, perfect purchase for that.
Right.
So, that's what I'll say about Saints. I'm sure I'll have more to say about Saints Row the next time we record, because I'll probably have finished it by then. Because I plan on playing a lot of it tomorrow and just trying to get through the story at least. Yeah, and just fuck around with the city. That's what I'm interested in. So, finally, and this will lead into what you've been playing, Dan, but we can talk about it collectively. You and I finally decided after a year and a half that it came out to sit down and play Outriders. So,
well, yeah, because we both picked it up as part of that weird like Walmart sale we took advantage of, where they were just clearancing stuff out like crazy.
I got it for like $10 or something.
Yeah, and I got a PS4 copy for $5, but I get the PS5 update, which is nice.
Yeah.
It was one of those things where back when it came out, I didn't know much about it just because they didn't really. I don't remember them marketing it a lot or even talking about it a lot.
They didn't
especially
market
since it was like
and it was
Square
a Game Pass game.
Especially because it was a Square shooter. It was on Game Pass. Yeah. It was just a weird thing that just kind of came out, but I was always kind of interested in it. And then you read about it when it came out, and it was supposed to be kind of a mess, and like they reworked a bunch of the stuff in it. So
yeah,
we finally were like, let's play this just to see what it is. And we've played, I don't know, probably like 6-7 hours, maybe a little bit less,
maybe a little bit.
And so far, and we've done a decent amount of story missions. We're like level 10. I gotta say,
level
like
10, I'd say we played probably like 6 or 7 of those early missions.
I think it's good. Like it's not a great game. It's
no, it was definitely a wait a little bit and see what it is like after a multitude of patches.
Right. And and we haven't really had any problems with it.
No,
but it's just a combination of a bunch of other games that are already out and do each of the things that this game steals from better.
There's a lot of Destiny in this game.
There's a lot of Destiny in the game.
But it's not a live service game. But it feels like it should be a live service game.
It feels like maybe it was at some point.
I think it was at some point, and then they scaled it back. And why they did, I don't know.
Because it's got like the hub area and the merchants, and you get gear and you break down gear and you get, different. And
those menus are identical to Destiny.
The way that they control and stuff are identical. But then, like, gameplay, it doesn't play like Destiny. It plays like more like a Gears of War game, where like you're
Okay.
taking
Yeah.
cover and you snap to cover, and then you've got powers, kind of like Destiny.
I would say
did,
it plays like
kinda
a Gears of
Mass
War,
Effect
just a
does.
little bit worse, like control wise. Like it's a little loose.
But then it also
Sometimes
like,
you'll hit that cover button and your guy just doesn't want to do it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Or I'll snap to the wrong side of something, so it's
Yeah.
actually detrimental because you're in the line of fire.
Or he'll
which is
vault over
weird.
what you're trying
Or
to
just
take
vault
cover on
over the thing
accident,
you're
and then you're
touching.
getting shot at. So,
yeah. So there's
well, like
that
the
part
powers
that's
you
weird.
get are cool. Like you have like that turret thing that's like really overpowered.
I have a
turret.
really overpowered turret that can like freeze guys in place, but then it also poisons them at the same time. Like that thing is insane. Kyle can light people on fire.
I'm lighting people on fire.
Yeah,
I'm like sucking the life force out of people.
I have like a mortar thing that can like shoot out tons of rockets in a straight line. Like they actually make the game kind of fun. Like it's also
really
not
fun. Yeah,
it's not easy, but it's not hard.
Well, it also does this thing where like it keeps leveling up what's called the world tier, and I think what is there like 20 or 25 of those?
I think
we're on like
something
5 or 6 now. I think as it keeps.
Yeah.
So like as you progress and level up your character in the game, it levels up the world tier.
Yeah.
So it's like it's making the enemies harder as you level up,
but that also controls like the loot you find and all that other kind of stuff. Because at the end of the day, it is just a loot based shooter, and it's all about
in that case, it's very much Diablo like because I like, and since I'm the one that's playing as the host, I don't know if Dan can do this with on his side of things, but like I can hit start, go to the world tier menu, and actually churn the world tier down from what I can see it, but if I want to. Yeah. And that's very Diablo like. So
yeah.
But I wouldn't say even as we've leveled up, like the game's gotten a little more challenging, but I wouldn't say it's like I'm having a hell of a time dying all the time. Like,
we haven't failed. Like we've gone down a couple of times, but we've never failed.
Gotcha.
It's got a weird mechanic where you can get yourself up.
Yeah. Which is really weird.
I don't know if the thing is like I still don't know if maybe that's like a once per battle or something because it's never happened.
It's never happened twice in a mission. So,
but it also like we were talking about, it's like it also kind of feels like a Division game. Like parts of that, like the gear and the like, it's just a mash of like all of these games together, and I don't think it's anything super special. But it's not.
I wonder if it's the kind
bad.
of thing where they mashed all these games together in the anticipation to make it a live service game, and then they were told we can't put out a live service.
It really feels like it was supposed to be, because like it has a party find service. And has all this other kind of stuff.
The other thing too is like so when you go to certain stores, they actually have timers for like special buys for different products. Like if you go to the gun store, there might be a specific gun that's on sale for X amount of time. Or if you go to the armor guy, there might be a piece of armor that's on sale for X amount of time.
And
that's a live service.
And the way that the missions work are like you're in kind of like a hub world, but then you go to a door or like a certain area, and then like you enter a mission. So it's almost like it's got instanced things, kind of like Division did, where like you could see people running around doing stuff, but when you go to a mission, they're like in a mission, like they're in the building or something. So I don't know. I think we'll finish it.
We'll finish it, and then
I'm interested to see what like
Black Friday, and we can get that DLC cheap.
Yeah, because they put out that big DLC for it, which is supposed to like add more stuff to it and add new modes and all that kind of stuff to kind of extend the game. And I'm interested to see what that's like now that we've played this, but it's surprisingly not bad. Like it is.
I'm very surprised by it.
I thought it would just be one of those things where we played it once and we're like, well, that's what Outriders was. Well, but I actually feel like I want to finish it, which is weird. So it's a cool game.
So what else have you been playing?
The only other things I've really done is like, so Wonderlands, like the Platinum is done, and now we're doing the DLC. And like the DLCs for this game are awful. Like they're lazy.
Are they all out now? Or
yeah. Well, the last one is out. The fourth one is out, but you can't finish it yet.
Okay.
You can't finish it until September 1st when the fourth difficulty unlocks. But that's probably the worst part about this stuff is they time gated the difficulties on each one of these DLCs to
really weird.
Drag them out. But how they work is basically you'll play through a quote unquote dungeon, which is just like a couple levels like strung together. And it might be like shoot these 3 towers to align them or kill this certain guy or whatever. And when you finish it, you fight a boss. When it's done, you can now do that like that DLC on level 2, which is the same exact thing you just did. Yeah. Slightly harder. and then you get to the boss, and the boss has like an extra attack. But the three of us like are destroyed. Like we're walking through this stuff. We finished the first two of them completely. It's kind of a joke, and I just don't from a company
your
like
max level, right?
Yeah, but even still, like it shouldn't be this easy.
Yeah,
and
I gotcha.
This is coming from a company that made like all those great DLCs for Borderlands 2. Those were all really good,
right?
And like they put out a lot of content for 3. They put out that extra thing for 2 when 3 was coming out. Like they've been really good at making DLCs. Some of them are misses, but some of them are really really good. These are just all bad. Like we've only done 2 of them, but I can't imagine the other 2 are any different because they play out the same way. So that's just kind of disappointing.
No, I can see that.
Yeah, I mean, other than that, like in trophy news, I finished the online trophies for Everybody's Golf, so I don't have to worry about that game getting shut out. That game gets shut off pretty soon.
Isn't it like September 1st or something?
Yeah, but I have the missing trophies. So or the online required trophies. So I'm fine. I can finish the rest of the game by myself, which is good. That took a lot of work, but I was able to get it done.
Yeah.
And then I've just been playing a lot of like smaller downloadable stuff, and then like just cleaning up other stuff. Like Digimon Survive, I'm almost done with the true playthrough, which plays out a lot differently now that everybody lives.
How many out of how many that you have to do?
Two out of 3.5.
3.5.
Because there's a point in your third one where you can make a save, and then you can go one way or the other to finish it. And then like just a bunch of random stuff that was on like the premium stuff. Like they added Wheel of Fortune finally to American territories because it's been on the Europe one for a while.
Is that like Wheel of Fortune?
It's just Wheel of Fortune. It's fine.
Okay.
It's nothing special, but it's got like an online mode, so you can just play Wheel of Fortune.
Does it have like Pat Sajak?
Oh no, God no.
Okay.
Doesn't have. They're not going to pay for that, please.
They can put them in there and just put text bubbles. Like
no, they have generic host A and the generic woman A. And they do talk. They talk, but they say just like.
But like it's a playable version of Wheel of Fortune because like I would probably check that out.
Yeah, it's like you can play a game in 10 minutes. You know.
Okay, I might check that out.
Yeah, it's on premium, so why not? It was free. I've been waiting for them to add it because they added it to the European one for a while.
Yeah.
And then they were like, well, maybe it's not going to come to the American territory. And then all of a sudden one day it was just on there.
Okay.
Yeah, they're just like tiny things here and there, but nothing else substantial. I kind of want to clear Wonderlands off the plate and at least this other run of Digimon off the plate. And then especially now that we're playing Outriders, like I'm more focused on that than anything else.
Yeah.
But that's it for me.
All right, what about you, Matt? I know there's one thing on here I see, and I'm curious to know how much you played of it, which is the bully.
So, I mean, I probably have gotten into. I want to say maybe like 3 hours into bully, like not too heavy. Just had a lot of busyness happening throughout the week, so like unfortunately I keep passing out early when I want to play everything, so it's just like no, like I wake up at like 12:30 on the couch and I'm just like dang it. Yeah. But really just bully. I've played a little more of Power Wash, nothing too much into that, but it's just like a common game, just kind of like, busy day at work and then detoxing. It's nice to just chill and power wash shit. Yeah, it really feels like it.
Like even over the weekend when I had a bunch of, life stuff happening, that was a good game to just fucking sit and just not
do anything, just fucking power wash and shit.
So that save glitch happened.
Yeah. And then of course Dead Space 2. Still playing into that. The only downfall, man, I forgot all about the fact that like Dead Space has those little sound quips. So like if it's dark and you're not paying and you'll hear like and you're just like, all right, you know what? I think I'm done. I'm done right now. I just I'm gonna turn this off and just wait till the sun comes out to play this game.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, I mean it's I mean I enjoyed my first playthrough of Dead Space 2 when I was playing it on the 360, I believe, is when I started it. So I think, I think I'm still gonna have fun with this. Like I said, I'm trying to micromanage my exactly how much ammo I utilize, so I know what I'm working towards to the end game. Because
Yeah.
that, yeah, like when I hit that end game previously and I did not have enough, I was done. I was like, nope, not gonna play this for a while. Um,
And I can't
but
I
it's
can't remember, you have played the first one, right?
No, I
Oh, you
haven't
have
played the
not.
first
Okay.
one. So I have the first one. Ironically, I was sitting here looking at the collection while you guys were talking about stuff,
Yeah.
and I have Saints Row the third one.
Okay. What do you have
So
it
I was
for?
like, huh?
What system
Uh,
is it for?
PS3.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. So I was like, you
That's
know
cool.
what? Maybe I should just plug
I
that
would
in.
Yeah, like here's what I'll say. Like Saints Row 3 is a really good one to play because you don't really have to play the other ones. Like, yes, those characters are in 1 and 2. If
Right.
let me I'll explain quick. Like Saints Row 1 is very much just like it came out in 2006, like right off the heels of San Andreas.
Mm-hmm.
So those dudes just made a San Andreas clone.
Clone.
The difference was it was a cooperative San Andreas. So,
And so
and
I
that's
think
why
that's
people
why I didn't
gravitated
play it.
towards it.
Like
Yeah,
I think
it's
that's
not
why I
there's
didn't
not a
touch
lot of
it.
humor in it. It's more serious. But
Yeah.
those characters went on to Saints Row 2, which like started to get a little more humorous. Saints Row
Okay.
3 is the best balance of like humor and like serious kind of a serious tone at times. But like they also do kind of a rebooting of certain characters in the third one. So
Okay.
like it's a good place to start. And honestly, you'll probably, if you end up playing them all, you'll probably say, yeah, Saints Row 3 is probably the best one. That's where
Okay.
most people lie.
Well,
Saints
I'm
Row
totally
4
down for that.
Saints Row 4 is a direct sequel to Saints Row 3, but it's really wacky. Like at that point, you're the fucking president of the United States and you're fighting aliens, and
Yeah,
you have
and see, so that's
superpowers.
what I think kind of threw me off on the game in general when I first started looking into it. Like,
Sure,
I remember the first Saints Row did look like a GTA clone, and that's why I was like,
yeah,
I don't really think I'm gonna mess with this, especially since I've already played GTA and played through it.
sure.
But then I'm
I
like,
can hear
I do
that.
remember like the goofiness I can really say for Saints Row, like seeing video clips and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean,
So
I
if you
put
got
my PS3
3,
in my yeah
I would say go for it. Go for
Yeah, the
3.
yeah
first
That's
one
a good
tried
one to
really
start
hard
at.
to be like a GTA clone,
right
and that's why no, I don't think it really ever caught on. And then with 2, they started to change it a little bit, and then by 3, they finally said, "Screw it, we're just going to make our own game," and that's when it got good.
I'll
yeah.
also
So
say too,
I
like Volition, the company or the developer that makes that game, is from Champaign, Illinois, which is just basically a college town surrounded by cornfields.
oh
Yeah,
wow
So they're not far from where we live. They're like a couple hours from Dan and I.
okay.
So you can see why those dudes would make something fucking crazy.
Yeah, I could see
So
that. Well, and like I said, I put the PS3 up in my bedroom. So I think maybe I'll plug that up. Maybe I'll try to give it a little go tonight when I'm trying to detox from the day.
sure. And
Yeah,
that
no doubt.
you actually just reminded me. So last week I did on my YouTube channel, I did a stream just testing out some 360 games from like some of them I think have sat for like 2 years. I just needed to test. But after I did that stream, I was like, I really want to play those Dynasty Warriors Gundam games, but I don't
Mm,
want to keep hooking up. I have the Halo 4 collector's system. I was like, I don't want to keep hooking that up. So I had to go digging because I randomly have another 360. And so I dug that out and I set that up in my bedroom. And I played a little. I went back, actually tried, because on the stream I tried, I think 3. And I was like, man, this is
okay.
really fucking cool. Like, I want to play this. And I was like, I should start at the beginning. I went and tried 1 after I set that up, and like 1's not as good as this 3. I'll put
no,
it that way.
yeah, it's not.
I'm probably gonna just put 1 back on the shelf and maybe try 2. That was the one other thing I totally forgot about that till you started talking about PS3 in your bedrooms. Like I totally did that after moving all these other older systems out of my bedroom. I was like, I don't need any of these systems up here, just a Roku. And then I did that, this past weekend. I was like, I'm gonna set up this Xbox 360. So in 2022, I have a 360 hooked up. So
Hey,
never thought
I
I would
mean,
say that.
Nate, no hating on that at all. Like I always forget because I don't come up here much during like the week.
Sure.
So like I forget exactly what I have. Like I bought a lot of games at one point and I have a copy of the show 18 and I just thought about Dan. I was like,
Yeah.
maybe I should plug that shit in too and just give it a whirl. And I was like, kid, like I really have a lot up here. I should probably really just start like just goofing around with. Like I
That
have,
was me in the 360, just doing that stream.
yeah,
Like, I have so many 360 games I picked up and never tried. Like, one of them I fucked around with on that stream was Mind Jack,
Yeah.
which I've never played, and like it actually wasn't terrible. So like maybe I should play through that.
Yeah, I
like,
kind of want to hook up like my PS3 again,
yeah.
just to
Yeah.
actually play like some PS3
Well,
stuff.
and you know, one game that I'm staring at right now that I was on the hunt for so long, and I actually really wanted to start playing it, Manhunt.
The original
wow, yeah.
one, like the PS2
Yeah.
one. Okay,
Yeah. So I have a copy of it, and I purposely, like, you know, I mean, I actively went on the hunt looking for it because I wanted to
Sure.
get one, and I have it, and I've never plugged it in.
So,
So I'm like,
it's a little harder
Jesus,
to
man.
find today.
Like I should
No,
probably
you
start.
totally should.
Yeah. I'm like, shit.
I just
need to
bought a
do better.
digital copy of that on the Xbox because it was on one of those like dirt cheap sales, and it's
Yeah.
a back compat game. So I was
Yeah.
like,
Oh,
I haven't
nice.
played Manhunt in like 15 years. So
God, I
Dope.
remember having to explain to parents what that game was when their kids were trying to buy it at the store and be like, I don't think you understand.
wasn't there like a bigger warning on the box for Manhunt than a typical game?
I think on the
Or am
back
I
it
thinking
had
of something else?
Hold on, I can tell
Or
you.
was
'cause
that
I'm staring at it.
state of emergency?
State of Emergency had a warning on it for sure.
Because that was like the Riot game.
That
right?
was the Riot
Rockstar,
game,
right?
like you're in
Yeah.
the wall like destroying shit. But Manhunt,
So no, this one doesn't actually have anything on it.
no,
Okay.
yeah,
It was
Manhunt,
State of
I
Emergency
remember it
then.
now because it was just like the black cover and like the Rockstar.
Yeah.
logo
State of
on it.
Emergency clearly had a big
Yeah.
warning. Yeah.
State of
So-
Emergency did. I remember that was a big deal because
Yeah.
like, there's a riot in this game of blah 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 and like, but like
You're like
as someone who's played State
punching
of
people's heads
Emergency,
off.
that game
It's
isn't
comical.
not that bad.
No.
Manhunt is messed up. Like
Manhunt is fucked up.
there's
And the
parts of that game
second
like
one
you
is even
walk
more.
around with like a dude's head in a plastic bag, and I had to tell parents like I don't think you get it. Like
Yeah.
Like, Grand Theft Auto-
It's
Grand
like
Theft
some
Auto was
criminal mind
bad.
shit. Like
Grand Theft Auto is bad in its own way, but like Manhunt is like
you're celebrating murder.
they're
murder.
A whole
celebrating
different type
murder.
of bad.
Like yeah, it's not even like violence. Like you're dismembering people.
Exactly.
So yeah, I remember that being a problem. And then I always loved it when they put Manhunt 2 on the Wii. Like yeah, just put that
Didn't
on
Manhunt,
Genesis.
couldn't you use the Wiimote and nunchuck to like simulate choking someone or something? I think at one point.
I don't know, but
I feel like that was the thing in that game because I remember that was a controversy.
the
with
Wii.
that.
Was, the Wii was the era
jeez.
when Nintendo started to give up. They were like, "Yeah, you guys can put whatever you want in here. We don't care anymore."
I mean, great examples. Just go on the eShop on the Switch today. There's so many of those like Japanese anime games.
Oh,
that
the
are
dating sim things
Oh,
that
yeah.
ride a
Nintendo
very weird
probably wouldn't have
line.
been cool with
Yeah.
this a decade ago.
No, they ride a very
Yeah.
strange line.
Yeah, they do.
Very
So-
strange.
Yeah,
Well, that probably wrap up what we've been playing since we have a huge amount of news to go through.
yeah.
We're gonna go through it. A lot of it's a little out of order. The first thing that I put in here was the most recent. And I honestly I woke up this morning to it, and then it was kind of walked back, so it's not really
I
as
got
big of a
walked
deal, I
back
guess.
almost
Yeah,
immediately. Yeah, like,
Yeah.
I don't
But
think
it's still worth
I don't think it's
mentioning.
happening. Yeah,
I don't think it is either. But there was a rumor that Amazon was going to purchase EA. And then it was, I would say, like within half a day, it was walked back.
not even.
And
It
it was
was
like-
walked back in a couple hours. They were
Okay.
like, no, that's not happening. But I thought about it some more, and I'm like, it kind of makes sense for both of them. Like
It does.
because
Yeah.
EA, like we talked about it months ago, like they kind of want out. They remember
They
they
do.
were trying to
Yeah.
like sell and like merge and all this kind of stuff, and like trying to get money in to do whatever. And when all they do is keep releasing failures, like Battlefield failed, like Madden by all accounts is garbage again. Shocker.
Yeah.
Like they don't make basketball anymore because they got beat to death on that one.
For sure.
Yeah.
Like
That was a while ago, but yeah.
They don't even make like golf anymore because 2K stole that from them too. Like it's crazy. Like the EA is just like, what do they have? Like a weird Dragon Age game, maybe in the future, like quote unquote, we're making a Mass Effect, all that kind of stuff. But
The
But at
biggest
the
things
same
they have are like
time-
Apex and
Right.
like
at
Yeah.
the same time, they're a big enough name that I feel like somebody at Amazon would be like, what if we just bought EA? What if we just like that would be a huge get because Madden, it's garbage, but it sells.
Yeah,
the people it sells to. So I
sure.
I thought about it, like, man, it kind of makes sense. Like I get it. But then I could picture Amazon pulling the garbage where it's like, okay, you got to have a Prime account to log in and play Madden Ultimate Team. You're like, well, that's probably not going to work for you.
Pretty much.
But yeah, it's good. It's probably better that it's not a thing, but I can see it happening.
All right. Yeah, I mean, I can totally see it happening at some point, but and of all the places, especially, I don't think Sony's in a position anytime soon, and we'll talk about it obviously later, but
Sony doesn't want that
huge purchase.
They don't want them anyway.
They got Bungie. They don't want that.
They don't want EA.
So.
Yeah.
If Microsoft wanted EA, they would have bought them already.
Yeah.
Exactly. Next thing I'll talk about, it just continued, as we said before, this year, even more so as more and more things get delayed, and we'll talk about some delays in a little bit here, but Elden Ring has now passed 16 million sales.
Yeah, I mean,
it just keeps selling.
It's a sign of a
quality game. I told you, Black Friday, that game will be $30.
Yeah, so, I'll get it then.
Yeah. So, but it's 16 million sales, nothing to scoff at.
Yeah, nothing to scoff at.
February. I guarantee you'll get an Elden Ring 2. I don't know.
Do you think that's the next one, or they do something else in between?
I don't know, because I would say every game that they have released, they've kind of forged their own path. After Dark Souls became really popular, they did do Dark Souls 2, but then they went with Bloodborne.
Right, yeah. But they milked Dark Souls, and then
the other thing, here's the other important thing to remember:
console specific.
It did, but here's the other important thing to remember: Dark Souls 2 was not Miyazaki had nothing to do with that game, because he left from Dark Souls to go work on Bloodborne.
Right.
So Bandai Namco probably looked at those sales you need to make a Dark Souls 2, obviously. So
well, the other thing though is everybody's really hard and they want a Bloodborne 2, but I don't know if Namco would want to do that, or they want to do that because that's a console thing. Unless Sony's going to pay them a lot of money for it.
Yeah, I don't know either. What I will say when we get to the Gamescom news, because there's a lot of Gamescom news, there's a game we can talk about that might scratch that
Bloodborne
I saw that.
itch. Yeah, I saw that one.
That I'm really excited about. So, another kind of fun news story is that Sunsoft, the old NES, Super Nintendo era publisher, has kind of been resurrected. I don't know what else. What else can you tell me about that, Dan?
That was just one of those people that they had they published a lot of the classic stuff back in the day, but
yeah. I think of the Batman movie game for the NES.
Yeah, it's neat that it's back, but what are these games are going to be smaller, probably little bite-sized kind of things, which it's neat that everybody always wants everything to come back, but it depends on what they do with it. Because
exactly.
I mean, are they going to release an updated version of that Batman game? Probably not, because there's no way they have a license for
it's
that.
It's a movie license game. I don't think. Yeah,
but I don't know. It's neat that it's back, but let's see what they do with it, because a lot of those things, Atari keeps trying to do that and they fail every time. And
they fail every time.
Yeah.
Poor Atari.
This one's a little bit older because it happened right after the last time we recorded, but it's odd enough. Death Stranding, prominent PlayStation exclusive game, came to PC eventually, but it is out on Game Pass only for PC. Only the regular version, so it's not the director's cut that came out last fall, but it is a full Xbox, metaverse, whatever you want to call it, game that has achievements.
But the PC version isn't a Sony thing. It has
it's 505 games.
It's a 505
and so
Kojima stuff. So it makes sense that it could end up on other things, because Sony isn't. Yeah. Do you think they're even making money off the PC version? Probably not. Maybe a tiny amount, but
I doubt it.
I would love to see a Death Stranding. I love Death Stranding. I would love to see Death Stranding too.
They will make it too.
He's going to make it too.
I think he'll make something else first, but
that was very close to being my game of the year that year it came out, but it was beaten by Control. So.
Control. That's because Control's a fantastic game.
If I'd have to make that
Control is a fantastic game.
Fantastic game. Another fun one, Multiverses, the free to play, fighting game, crazy fighting game with all the WB properties. As WB's name's kind of in the toilet right now for other reasons. They debuted as the best selling game in the U.S. last month, which for a free to play game, it makes sense. Though.
Like it's not hard to do. Like that tends to happen. You look at stuff like Genshin and stuff in the past, where like, well, yeah, because it's free and it's a complete game. Like,
yeah.
These days, so much free to play stuff is like it's a trial mode for a year and a half. But like Multiverses at least is a complete game that they've already released more characters for. You know what I mean? Like they're already adding stuff to it. It's not going to sit for a long time.
Yeah. So I do have something to say about that.
Yeah.
So when I downloaded the first week it was available, which I don't know if this is because it went live, like it wasn't the beta version or whatever.
Yeah.
Sure.
But they took away some of the characters you were able to play as.
Okay.
Well, they probably cycle it though, right?
So that's what I think they were doing, or that's what I think they're doing now if you haven't unlocked people. Because, like, so I still got Wonder Woman, and I still had, I want to say it was Steven Universe that was playable. But, like, this time Superman was locked, but Batman was unlocked.
Weird that they unlocked Batman. Okay.
And another person, one of the other people that I was playing with the last time, they were locked.
Okay.
Well, yeah, it's just gotta be they cycle that stuff because the trick is they want like to have Batman unlocked for 2 weeks, right? And you play as Batman for 2 weeks, and then you turn it on the next day and he's locked. You're like, well, shit, maybe I'll just buy Batman. Like that's what they try to get you to do.
So, but I will tell you, I did get Shaggy.
Sweet.
Ooh, how good is
he? He's pretty dope. I'm not gonna lie, man. If I do play that game, I think that's who I'm gonna main as because Shaggy's a pretty dope character. I played a little. I did play a little more of that last weekend because my son kept telling me his Superman was level 8 and he was gonna wipe the floor with me. So I was like, well, let me see what happens. And then I jumped on and I saw that they went live and they opened up a battle pass and then Superman was locked. And I was like, good luck, boy. Like, like how you going to beat me? Superman's locked. And he was like, no.
That's one of those games too, where I could see like in a year or so when they've added like 10 more characters, or whatever, that it gets some kind of bizarre physical release. Because they've done that. Remember, they've done that with weird stuff in the past. Like Fortnite got a physical release, which I
should have got at the time.
I should have bought because I'm an idiot.
Yep.
But that happens from time to time where like weird stuff will get a physical version or something. But I could see them doing that with that because then that's an easy way to be like, it's $40. You get everything unlocked from the start. Blah blah blah. It's on a disc, like all that kind of stuff. Like they could easily do that if they wanted to. Mm-hmm. They should.
Very much so.
All right, next story, which is always fun. It's a GameStop story.
Yeah, it's a weird one.
It's a weird one. GameStop is being sued by Diamond for almost $3 million. Diamond is the comic distributors, very prominent comic distributor,
like the main one.
Basically, looking over the article, basically the reason they're being sued is because they are claiming that GameStop has I want to say it's I think it's 105 additional outstanding accepted purchase orders. So basically, they have.
So basically, what it is like they contact Diamond and say we want to buy this, and this, but like they're pre-ordering stuff for stuff they want to get down the line because like that's how I remember. Like our comic book guy who'd always talk to us about it was like, I got to put in orders for issues 3 months from now.
But the stuff that GameStop is ordering is going to be like collectibles and all that kind of stuff. They're not ordering comics.
No, they're not getting comic books. Which that's another thing they probably always maybe should have thought about carrying, but didn't. Would be like the main Marvel and DC titles probably would have sold.
Yeah,
if you could have got your monthly comics at a GameStop, imagine that. Yeah, pre-order your comics at GameStop. That would have worked pretty well. We would have used that. We would have used that a lot.
Yeah.
But anyway, like, so you're thinking like they're telling Diamond, in 3 months we want these or whatever, and then I think what's happening is they're not getting reserves for this stuff at the store, and then just saying we don't want this stuff. because we know we're going to get it. We're not going to sell half of it, and then we're going to have to clearance all of it to basically what we paid for it.
Yeah.
And then just it's a wash.
Yeah.
So they're trying to get out of it by saying, no, we want to cancel this stuff. But like Diamond is basically telling them, like, you can't, because our entire business runs on orders from you, and you can't just cancel them whenever you feel like it.
Right.
Yeah.
It's the kind of thing where, like, I could see this ending where GameStop obviously just has to pay what they owe, but then they just stop ordering from them. And then they go and get collectibles from some other place. But like whatever it is to save money for them, man. Like, do you see the new thing they're doing, GameStop? Like, where they're gonna start paying some managers bonuses in stock, like 3-year vested options and stuff. It's like,
wow.
That's not gonna go well.
But it's 3 years. Like, I don't like or giving some people raises and others not, and all the same kind of shit, like to try to trick people into staying, because like to give them 3-year vested options with all these managers leaving left and right, like every 6 or 12 months, like yeah, of course they're going to tell you it's 3 years from now, because most of them aren't going to make it.
No, for sure.
No, not at all.
That's not a surprise at all, though.
I would have laughed if they would have told me that. I would have laughed and been like, I'll believe it when I see it, but sure.
So I'm going to actually move up one of the news stories because it kind of goes hand in hand with this. So the first thing is there's the Sony digital lawsuit, which what is it? It's in Europe, right? It's not here.
Right. It's overseas. It's in like Britain and stuff.
Yeah. So they're basically I think the way it reads is they're being sued for quote unquote ripping people off digitally.
Right.
But it's a pretty big lawsuit. It more or less, it kind of, the way to explain it is it's kind of like the Apple lawsuit. You know, Apple was in that very famous lawsuit with Fortnite. I think that's done now, or is that still ongoing? I think that did finally conclude.
I thought they settled that.
Yeah.
But that was all over the like how much Apple's cut is of taking out like what they get. And it's the same thing. It's just Sony. So Sony, what is Sony's cut for selling games on the PlayStation?
Well, and it's also like, but people are trying to like argue that like, well, it's because Sony's the only place for us to buy the stuff digitally. It's like, yes, because you're buying it on a system they built and sold to you.
Yeah.
Like, what are you trying? I don't understand what you're talking about. You could also go to You could also go to GameStop, at least maybe in the past. I don't know if you can anymore, and buy digital codes for games. So it's not even necessarily true.
Yeah.
Which is maybe why it's not a lawsuit over here, because there are other ways to get that stuff. Yeah. But so, I don't know. It's just weird. Like, it's the kind of thing where it's going to get either settled or just turn into a class action suit where everybody gets $38 and it's over.
So on the tails of that, probably the biggest news story of the week outside of anything that happened at Gamescom, and the one we got the most emails on. So if you wrote in about this, thanks for your email. At this point, I didn't read any of them because we're obviously going to talk about the topic. Sony has in some areas they haven't yet. In a lot of areas they already have. They are increasing the price of the PS5.
Yeah.
In select markets due to quote unquote global economic environment changing. Obviously high inflation rates. It is important to note before we start talking about this, it's not in the United States.
Not yet.
And that's what I'm going to say. It's not yet. I do think it will happen here. But it's in Europe, UK, Japan, which is probably the biggest one, because basically I saw an article later in the day where like they interviewed a bunch of Japanese gamers that like they don't even have an interest in buying a PS5 because they're playing everything on their PS4. So
yeah.
China, Australia, Mexico, and Canada are the territories. So like, it's literally everywhere but America.
But again, like it's in the 2 other North American countries, but not us yet. Like,
I think the reason for it is because if you remember like a year and a half ago when Microsoft had their like Black Friday, so to speak, where they decided we're going to double the price of Live. And they got such backlash that they had to reverse that.
I don't think that has anything to do with what Sony is deciding to do in America. Like because you know damn well Sony doesn't give a shit what Microsoft does. Like they don't. They only care about when Microsoft makes a mistake, and that's the only thing they talk about for 3 months. But they're not going to use that as an example for why they're not raising the price. I think part of it is,
the But they would still get backlash in America more than I think any other
But they
region.
would. Oh, they definitely would, because
vocal.
we're also the number one market for these things.
But see, now let's say we get to November, like God of War week, and they decide, oh, by the way, this week the PlayStation's going to go up in price in America. People will bitch and they'll say,
That's
hey,
too
look, we did this in every other territory. I don't know if it even happens this year.
I think the only safe time for them to do it is January. What they do is they come out and they go in a couple weeks or a month, and they go, we fortunately we had to raise it everywhere else. We're going to do it in the US, but not until January. It'll take place January 1st. So if you want to get one, get it now. Like at the same thing is like they're arguing that like we got to raise the prices because all this stuff, but they still can't get them to you. People in Japan can't buy.
No, they even say at the
like.
Jim Ryan even says at the end of this, with this price increase is a necessity to give the current global economic environment and its impact on our business, our top priority continues to be improving the PS5 supply situation. Like, so they throw that in at the end is like, sorry, dude, but we're still gonna raise the price. We'll get those systems out.
We'll try to get some more out quicker for $50 extra.
Exactly.
Like, it's just it's shitty because like.
It's bad.
It's been out for 2 years and you're raising the price.
I can't remember any other system where this happened, where it went up in price several years after it's been out.
Especially when your two direct competitors were already cheaper, and now they're not raising their prices.
Yeah, like it's important to know, like, of course, Microsoft was the first one to come out and say, we're not raising the price. That makes sense. They're going to capitalize on it. But Nintendo, who usually just doesn't say anything about anything.
They usually ignore it. Yeah.
They actually came out and said, hey, we're not raising our prices either, which I thought was interesting because they usually just keep their mouth shut and do their own thing and ignore anything else that's going on.
Right. Because they're
not
in
their own world.
Yeah. They're not competitors with these two.
They're making money. They don't give a shit. They have Mario.
They sell Switches all the time.
That makes me not want to buy one. I'm not going to buy a PS5 now in general. Like I can barely find them now just by itself. I find them in GameStop, but they sell them as a fucking bundle for an extra $300.
Which means the bundle is going to go up another like
$50. But the thing is like I think the biggest problem is like anyone who was on the fence is now off of the fence. Like they're like, nah, never mind.
Or people that were on the fence between which one to get will easily just go, why would I get this when I get this other one for $50
especially
cheaper?
Yeah, like,
and it has a service where I don't have to really pay for games.
Right.
So
new games.
Hey, ironically, it's funny that we're actually even saying that. Like, so I was at a GameStop last week, and a gentleman there was debating on whether or not he wanted to buy an Xbox, and I was like,
the classic.
Yeah, I was like, listen, man, I'm a PlayStation dude, but Game Pass is fucking dope. I was like, go ahead and buy an Xbox just for that, man. And he was like, really? I was like, bro, yeah, it's like the best thing in the world. I was like, just get it. Just get it and don't even think twice about it, man. He was like, thanks, I'm going to buy one. I was like, yeah, man.
It's just crazy. Like I said, that was the thing I tried to think of after it happened the other day when they announced. I'm like, I can't remember this ever happening for any other system going up in price after it's been out for that long. So without adding anything,
I can't imagine what the talks were like internally. Like, man, we're really going to have to raise this anywhere from $20 to $50 in most major territories.
I mean, like, again,
that sounds like a great
consoles don't make these companies any money at all. The profit margin is they're there to sell you games and services
and controllers.
Yeah.
And controllers and
in my Tony's case, like headsets and and now like it's weird that they're raising the price in a time where they've just essentially doubled the cost of Plus if you want the good one. Jesus. Like, you know what I mean? Like they're already introducing other ways to up pricing.
Which is a good segue into the other part of Sony, which is they announced that the PSVR 2 is not going to come out until next year. And that has me wonder, like, how much money is that thing? If we have to raise the price of the core system.
Oh, if systems are now $550, that thing's easily
that thing has to be $400
minimum.
Minimum, yeah.
Like, which puts your entire VR setup for that thing at $1,000.
About the price you would pay to build a fucking computer to buy. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, it's crazy. It is crazy.
Well, because now I'm never going to believe that like they would make the VR affordable. Like, Could they make it 300 to do it? Not if they have a choice anymore, because they clearly don't care.
Yeah,
they don't.
Man, like that's just
Really,
ridiculous.
it's a really weird time for Sony. Like, it almost feels like in this generation, since it began, they're reverting to like the old PS3 era Sony, where it's like, here's our $600 system, fucking buy it, we don't care. Here's this, here's that. We don't care. You're gonna buy it, so who cares? Like that just seems like their attitude lately.
yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not gonna buy it. Screw you, Sony.
Exactly. Like it's such a fucked up thing. Like, even like, I don't know what does it equate to here, because it's different in each region, right? Or is it $50?
It's
basically
anywhere from $20 to $50 in most places.
I'd be interested what it would be here. I think they'd go.
It'd be $50. Yeah, they'd go for it.
I think they'd go.
Yeah, definitely. If they can squeeze out that extra money, they're definitely gonna get it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just
Garbage ass.
The only other thing I can think of is maybe when they do it in America, because it's America and they know we're going to complain the most, they throw something in there like a digital copy of a game. Because that costs them nothing. But
Nah.
I don't know. So we'll see. I'm sure there'll be more to say about that as it continues on. A couple other fun stories before we get to the big Gamescom stuff. Dan, you know more about this because you were telling me about it, but PGA 2K23.
It's just cool because so golf is back and Tiger's on the cover, which is a huge steal because it always used to be Tiger Woods golf for EA, and now he's on the cover of 2K, which is crazy. But the coolest thing is, if you pre-order that game, you can play as Michael Jordan.
When you said that, I had to think about it, and I forgot. Awesome. He totally left and played golf for a while.
He's just a huge golfer. Yeah. He's always been a huge golfer. That is such an awesome pre-order bonus for that game. I wish they would have done more and gotten Charles Barkley and other stuff in there. And you could play as you know what I mean? Just you could play a force of Jordan, Barkley, Aaron Rodgers, and Tom Brady or something, and just be the four of them running around. That's just really cool. I like that a lot.
That'd be good.
That's a fun thing to do for a golf game.
I feel like I kind of want to buy it.
Yeah, now I'm thinking about it.
I usually play a golf game once every about 10
golf
years.
Games are
the last
fun.
one I played was the Masters 12, so we're about that.
Yeah, exactly. And now you're back in when Tiger's back in. So
there you go, right? The Knights of the Old Republic remake lives. So they apparently dropped, I forget what the previous developer was, but they have now moved that over to Saber Interactive.
Whatever.
So Saber Interactive is now going to pick up the pieces of that game. You don't see this game for another 3 years.
No,
they're not even going to show it. They're
Maybe
not
just
even going
never
to show it.
No.
So I thought it was interesting. We do have some Halo Infinite news. I'm going to save it for the emails because we got an email about Halo Infinite. So I think it's a better place to talk about it here. So let's get
You missed one good one, and I know why you skipped it because you hate it. But Dead Island 2,
I skipped
are you saving it?
I skipped it because it's Gamescom.
Okay, all right. I'll save it.
We're gonna talk about it. There's a big one, and we'll talk about it.
Just run down
Gamescom happened.
Quick. Yeah.
Yep. A bunch of games got announced. Dune Awakening, which is like a MMO. So if you like the Dune franchise, I haven't even watched that movie yet. I need to. They're making an MMO on that. Another bigger thing, and we can talk about this for a moment. Sony revealed that they're making a Pro controller, kind of like Microsoft has the Elite controller, which, sidebar, those controllers are trash.
I don't like the new one at all.
I don't like them. Every one of them breaks.
Yep.
That I've had this, and I'm not somebody who overuses my controllers. Same. But it's a crap.
The grip on mine is weird, and it feels like it's melting. That's the only way I can describe it.
The Elite 2 costs almost $200. Yep. I used it briefly, put it in its case for 6 months. I came back to it, and now when I come back to it, the right bumper just doesn't work.
Yep.
And it was just sat in its case for 6 months.
They just seem like they have really poor internal stuff.
There's no quality control in them.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's not to say that this it's called the DualSense Edge. There's no price for it yet. I assume it's later this year. They're making their version. I would imagine it's probably going to be in the same price range. My biggest complaint about it is I already have a purple controller and a black controller. I don't want a white controller. So,
I just don't know.
It only comes in white.
I just don't know if I need this. Yeah.
No. I'll say, especially the DualSense controller, that thing is really rock solid.
Yeah.
As a controller.
The best controller Sony's ever made by far.
Yeah, it is by far. I had no problems with
the
it.
DS4 was good, but like this just feels better.
You could do something to jack that up though. The only reason I got rid of my white PS4 controller is because I got a black one and then I bought a purple one. So like I had no problem with it. They showed some more footage of the Callisto Protocol. That continues to be one of my big like exciting games for the year. It's Dead Space. It's from the Dead Space guy.
It just looks more and more like it with everything they show, which is fine.
It looks great though, which is fine. It's been 10 years. So.
Yeah.
Another favorite of mine. They are rebooting. If you remember from like mid 2010s, they made there was a offshoot, like there was everybody wanted to make their own Dark Souls.
Right.
There was a game called Lords of the Fallen. They're rebooting that. It's now called The Lords of the Fallen. I'll say like the trailer grabbed me, but 90% of the reason why the trailer grabbed me is because they played Mother by Danzig. So that sold me on the game more than anything else, but it looks really cool. If you ever played the indie, and I played this game with my girlfriend a couple times, Moving Out, which is kind of like I would compare it to like Overcooked, except you help people move out of their houses. There's a Moving Out 2 coming. Really fun game to play, like if you have kids or you have a girlfriend that doesn't play games very often or something. It's that type of game that you can pick up and play.
Well, and this one's got online co-op too, so like that.
This one, the first one did not have online co-op. So. And I don't think either Overcooked has online co-op either. So.
Didn't they add it for the second one?
They did not. No, they have not put online co-op.
I know the first one.
Okay.
That's a big sticking point with that franchise that people can play online. So they showed another trailer for Hogwarts Legacy. I still think that game looks really cool. I'm glad it got delayed till February because I just didn't think I would. I still think
it probably gets moved one more time. But
I do too because so many things are coming out. I think when we get to like January, I think a lot of these developers are going to go, oh shit, we have all these games coming out.
You'll start to see things get moved like 1 or 2 weeks and then something.
Yeah.
There's a new Tales from the Borderlands game. So I don't really have much to say about that because I kind of wrote off the Telltale games a while ago.
Yeah.
So, but maybe being a Telltale game not made on one of those engines, maybe.
Well, I mean, and the first one was always. I never played it, but it was supposed to be great. And it's the kind of thing where I feel like maybe I want to play it now so I can play this.
Okay.
They talked about some big expansion for Dying Light 2. I haven't played Dying Light 2, so I can't even speak to that. I know, though, I read today they just put out a huge patch for that game that fixed a lot of issues that people
it had a bunch of just like tons of different weird little issues. So it's good that it's been patched.
I told Dan when they announced it, Sonic Frontiers has a release date of November 8th, so the same day as God of War. That will also be a Black Friday purchase for me.
Hell yeah.
Because
that's gonna be a great
I can't
Black
imagine
Friday
that game. Yeah, that's got to be $30 2 weeks later. There was a cool game from Quantic Dream. So Quantic Dream are the people that make like Heavy Rain, Beyond Two Souls, and the what was the Cyborg one?
Detroit Become Human.
I liked all those games. They're making a new game called Under the Waves. That looks pretty cool. They showed off a gameplay trailer for Goat Simulator 3, which I like Goat Simulator a lot. Return to Monkey Island is coming out in September. I have no reverence for that. September 19th to be exact. This was probably the biggest bummer because like I didn't watch this live. I just watched the trailers after because it was during the workday for me. But they kept hyping up this trailer for the it's a game. It's called, let me see here, Moonbreaker. But it is made by the people that made Subnautica, and then they got the dude that wrote the Wheel of Time or the End of the Wheel of Time to write the story for this or the lore. So I was like, oh, maybe it's gonna be like this big RPG. It's literally like a game piece game, like Warhammer.
Yeah.
And I watched the trailer, and I was disappointed because I'm like, that's what this is. So, and then one of the biggest things here that I'm all about, and I told you earlier in the podcast, if you like Bloodborne.
Yeah, this is the weird one.
This is a fucking crazy game. So it's called Lies of P. You are playing as Pinocchio. It is a super dark take on Pinocchio. It is set in a steampunk world. It is fucking Dark Souls.
Yeah.
It also looks incredible visually. Like way better. Like I watched it, one of the best looking trailers I've seen in a while for a game, but it's literally just Dark Souls. So it's also important to note it is a day one Game Pass game, which is a huge get.
Yeah.
Super excited to play that game. It's sometime next year, so that was really cool. Other stuff they showed, varies. The biggest one I want to talk about, and the one I know Dan's waiting for, after 8 years, Dead Island 2
is real.
is coming out in February.
Real.
It is re-revealed. Different. I think it's a different developer. Too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's moved. I think it's
picked
moved
up
twice.
the thesis.
Yeah.
Wow.
And here's the thing. I watched the brief trailer. I didn't watch like the 10 minutes of gameplay, but I watched the brief trailer they showed that had gameplay. It didn't look terrible.
I don't know. It looks like Dead Island. Like, I mean, obviously for this one,
smooth though.
They're hyping up the gore and stuff a lot more in this, which is probably what that game needs to do to become relevant again. I mean,
it needs to stand apart from Dying Light.
Well, and the original Dead Island was a huge hit, like massive hit when it came out.
It was a huge hit, but I think the biggest problem with that game is it was a huge hit that was sold on a lie. Because if you watch the trailer for that game, it is not the game.
No, that's not.
Remember the super emotional fucking trailer?
Well, but it didn't matter because it was 4-player co-op online zombie killing. Like that's
that game. I enjoyed that game. The first part until you get into the island.
Well, the game changes after you get off the beach. But but that's what people bought it for, because it was the first kind of thing of its kind. And then obviously it's been replicated and done far better since. Dying Light is better at it. Left 4 Dead gave you the faster paced version of it. Like, there's been better versions of this game released
since this game.
So I think hyping up the gore and like reaffirming that yes, it's online, yes, it's co-op, like, you know what I mean? Like it's in LA now, so it's not just like you're on some weird island. I don't know. Like I've talked about it before, and I'll say it again. I played it almost a decade ago, and it sucked. But
that was a decade ago.
That was a decade ago, and 2 developers ago. So I'm interested to see what it is, but it's definitely not a day one purchase, just because anything that's been in development for a decade should never be a day one purchase for anyone.
Yeah.
Like, you want the best example? Duke Nukem Forever. Remember how bad that game was? Like, not that anybody ever thought it would be good.
That.
Yeah, not that anybody ever thought it would be good, but like, I remember when it was finally coming out and people were coming in and reserving it. We're like, "Are you sure, man?" Like, I don't think so.
I was going to throw out there Alien Colonial Marines.
That's a good one too. Like,
was also one that I rented instead of bought because I knew
stuff that's a decade. I don't think it ever pays off. Not in the way you want it to.
Right.
So
who knows?
But it's cool. It exists. It's real.
Another one that I watched that I thought looked pretty cool is called Atlas Fallen, which is made by Deck 13. That's the people that made The Surge.
Oh, okay.
Which was a pretty cool. Also, Dark Souls type game. This game, you use sand as your weapon. Like, you can mimic sand to make different weapons, like swords and guns and stuff. It looks pretty cool. That was a pretty cool trailer. They showed a lot of stuff for like the big 3.0 update for Genshin Impact, which made me remember that like Genshin Impact's actually pretty fucking cool.
I've played a lot of that game. Like,
you played a lot more.
I haven't played since I think like the 2.0 release. Like, the game's actually really, really good. Like, it plays
really
well.
good. You don't have to dump any money into that game.
None.
And I think there's so much you can play.
Yeah.
The PS5 update for that game also was really good.
It's really good. Yeah.
So really,
it's a really good version.
It's like the PC version. So now the another thing they announced that I'm going to go on a little soapbox rant about, because like I just think it's stupid.
Which one is it?
So they announced Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
Oh, it is that
game. You knew it was going to be that one. Okay, so like, here's the thing: is that an awesome property to make a video game? Absolutely.
That's a great movie. That's a great movie.
Love that movie. I've seen it like 10 times.
Yeah.
Stop fucking making these types of games, please.
Yeah,
like, this is another 3. This one is 3v7 because you can have the 3 clowns and then you have 7 people. But again, we have Evil Dead. This is done by the Friday the 13th people. We have the Evil Dead
by
game,
Daylight.
which died in 2 months. I mean, you can get copies of that game for $10 now.
Yeah.
Killer Clowns from Outer Space. Like, and here's the thing. The problem is the people that play these types of games will leave Dead by Daylight they'll come over and play this for a little bit, and they just go back to Dead by Daylight because that has everything.
It really makes you wonder why this wasn't just Dead by Daylight DLC, because they've done that with everything else.
That's what I was going to think of too. Yeah,
like wouldn't that have made more sense?
I watched the trailer.
Let's just license it to them, and then one of the killers is a clown. Like and then it's in like a funhouse setting or something.
And here's the thing: when I saw the link, without even clicking it, without even watching the video, in my mind I was like, "This is going to be one of those fucking kind of games, isn't it? It's not going to be a single player thing." Sure enough, and it's like from the people that made Friday the 13th. Look, I love that Friday the 13th game. I played a shit ton of it when it was a cool game.
Yeah.
And the thing that killed that game was not Dead by Daylight; it was the licensing fiasco, unfortunately.
Yep.
But then Dead by Daylight got everything else. You can play as what?
Ghostface.
I think you can play as
Resident
Freddy
Evil.
and fucking Michael Myers in that game. Yeah, they have the Stranger Things Demogorgon in that game.
Not anymore, but yes.
No, they took him out. Yeah, you're right. But like everything you could ever imagine is pretty much in that game. So like this, I feel like it would have been better serviced in that game because that game's not going anywhere.
It just makes more sense. Like that game already exists, and like everyone like. Could they have done a Scream one by itself? Sure. Nah, let's just license it to this.
And like this thing, that being said, like, did I like what I played of the Evil Dead game? Sure. But if you didn't play in that first like 2-month period,
nobody plays it.
It's over.
Well, that's the other thing. Like 3v7, you think you're going to get 10 people to play this game? 10 people. It's hard to get 5.
I have no faith in it. So
no,
it bummed me out. I watched the trailer and I was just like, maybe I'll just go watch.
I'll say it looks cool and like the clowns look really good.
God, yeah, do they ever? Like,
they look exactly and I like when I remember them.
They're literally like you're carrying the fucking kids around in the cotton candy bags.
Yeah.
Like I look, I'm all into it, but I'm like also at the same time I'm like, fuck you for making this game though, because it's one of those.
It's not gonna last. You're right. It just won't last.
Very much so.
Another weird one, like they showed, we've talked about it before. Dan and I have also said, great Black Friday game. I have a couple Black Friday games this year. Gotham Knights, they actually pushed up the date a couple days for this game.
I know, sure.
They showed a trailer that has Harley Quinn. I think whoever's doing the voice of Harley Quinn doesn't sound great. And then another major villain in the game, which I think this is actually kind of cool, is Clayface.
That's cool.
They've really done too much with Clayface. They did a little bit with him in Arkham City with the switcheroo.
Yeah.
But yeah, they have not really like used him as
but
like
to fight against him is cool. So,
exactly. So I'm really interested. Like, I don't know. Again, you and I both know this game is going to be the Avengers. It's going to be DC's Avengers game.
I will say, the combat. Like, I watched the combat trailers and stuff, and like
it's the Arkham combat.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun playing it together. But that's the only thing I'm going to get out of it is playing it with you.
Yeah.
So, and like I say, as far as Gamescom goes, there was some other like big announcements. Like I wouldn't even say big, like smaller announcements. The last one I'll even talk about is like, and this was talked about a while ago and then went underground for a couple years. The Outlast series, which I like the first one. The second one was kind of iffy. There's a multiplayer one coming out, the Outlast Trials. I'm interested in that. They're doing a beta for it in October, and then I think it'll be out next year. That's a game that I could see a multiplayer version of that being cool, but will people play it is the question. So
I don't know. Like, it's just,
I don't know. So, but I mean, overall, I thought Gamescom, like, it's usually kind of a throwaway show almost. Like, they kind of show like things that you already know about. I thought there was a lot of interesting cool stuff this year.
Yeah, this was a good, like, not AAA show. Like, you know what I mean? Like, nothing major. Yeah, like, it's all like new stuff that could be interesting. That's kind of different.
Exactly.
So a lot of stuff I'd like to try.
Yeah, like you're not going to get the reboot of Lords of the Fallen at an E3, probably.
I mean,
but you'll get that here.
That would have been in a buzz reel, a sizzle reel, where it's on screen for 8 seconds.
I wouldn't have gotten a 2-minute trailer with Mother by Danzig at E3.
Right.
So.
No.
There you go.
So, but yeah, it was Gamescom. I was actually like overall, it was a really like solid show.
Let's talk about the one thing that didn't happen at Gamescom that people kept thinking was going to happen, Kyle.
Oh, GoldenEye?
GoldenEye. Weird. It didn't get announced.
We hit it. Yeah. They put out a documentary about GoldenEye. Right. I thought that was funny.
But it's just like that game is in hell, and it
really is.
I don't. Could it have come out? Sure, but like everything has to
Sure.
fall into place, and I keep maintaining that like that is something they will say it is out today. It'll just be on Game Pass, and
Yep.
that'll be it.
You know, they also the last maybe hope for those people is like they usually have that Xbox Game Fest in November. Maybe that's when they do it.
I don't know.
Maybe they're like, hey, it's out today. But when it does happen, I agree, it'll be it's out today thing.
Right.
So,
Because it's in hell.
last thing I just wanted to briefly mention, like I don't really talk about Kickstarter stuff that much, but because I don't really back anything on Kickstarter, because anything that's going to be good enough, you know, it's going to be backed. What I'm going to mention here, I guarantee will be backed. They are going to make spiritual successors to Wild Arms and Shadow Hearts, which I think is really cool. I want to say the Wild Arms one is called Armed Fantasia, and the Shadow Hearts one is called Penny Blood.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, I stopped back in Kickstarter video games a long
that's
time
the
ago.
thing, yeah. Well, yeah, didn't you get burned on Mighty Number 9?
No, I never did that one, but I did.
You didn't do that one.
Bloodstained, and I did.
Okay, Bloodstained just took 4 years,
and Shenmue 3, and the problem is they just take forever. So I don't.
Bloodstained was probably the best example of one when it came out. It delivered the game you wanted it to be.
I got exactly the game I wanted, and honestly, it was better than I thought it was going to be. So that's all that
exactly
really mattered for that.
So that matters there. But again, yeah, I agree with you. Like these Kickstarter, like we probably won't see these games for 4 years easily.
Yeah,
easily. So. All right, so after all that news, we're gonna get into the emails. We got a lot of varied emails this week.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll go through. We got some GameStop ones. We got some. I think I even got kind of a personal one.
Yeah, we got a nice sample.
Just a nice variety. Yeah. So we'll go ahead and we'll start with the first one here. It's from Curtis from Westland, Michigan. He says, "Hi guys, love the podcast. Been listening to the show since the episode with Ryan, so I apologize if this has been asked. You've talked a lot about customer types you didn't like. What about employees? Did you all ever hire someone that didn't work out? Thanks."
I mean, without a doubt, every place you work, you have everybody. Like, there's at least one person everyone hates, and if you don't know who that person is, it's you.
Yep.
Yeah. But I mean, I can talk. I'll tell a quick Game Crazy one, and then we can talk about our mutual experiences.
Yeah.
So at Game Crazy, I had a problem employee where when I first started, I was pretty much hired as an assistant. I just had to wait for my birthday, which was like the next month. But they're like, "You're the assistant as soon as you turn 18." Cool, fine. So it was me, my boss. And then we had like two other guys that worked below us, which were essentially like GA guys who would work with someone else and like low guy in the total pole, like clean up, do this kind of stuff while I do the money at the end of the night, right? I had one guy who would just constantly talk back to me. And it's like, do you understand who you are talking to? Like, I don't understand it. And like, there was one night where we had tile flooring at Game Crazy, not like the carpet stuff we had, right?
Yeah, like
so in the winter in Illinois, everything, if you lived here or in a northern state, everything gets salted to hell and it just looks like garbage. So we would have to mop probably 3 times a week. And it's not like we didn't have materials. I had a mop bucket. We had a mop sink in the back. We had a mop, like all this kind of stuff. And I remember specifically one night, and like there would be many times where I would close alone. Because again, we were never alone because we had other people at the store where I would have to mop the floor before I left. But I was also like, 18, 19, and just, I didn't care if I was at work a little late because I was hanging out with my friends at the other place. So I'd mop up and put the stuff away and do everything myself. So one day I specifically remember, I'm like, hey, I think I even told him, I'm like, hey, we got to mop tonight because like the front of the store is fucked up. And he's like, why don't you mop? And I was like, excuse me, what? And he's like, I never see you mop. It's like, what do you think I do when you aren't here? Do you think I do nothing? Or do I just put on a show when you're here? This kid was like, I think I was 19 and he was like 2 years younger than me, but he had such a horrible attitude. I don't know how he got hired in the first place. And eventually I told my boss that after the fact that like, I'm done with him. Like, you schedule him with me, it's going to be a problem. I'm not going to do it. And he's like, well, then we'll just get rid of him. So we eventually just transferred. I think he transferred to Hollywood and then was fired like a month later just for being a dumbass. But it's like, don't talk back to your boss like that. Like, you don't know what they do when they're there. Like, did I ever have shitty bosses that did nothing? Absolutely. But I was not one of those people. But GameStop was much different because we had a bunch, not a bunch, but we had some we had to deal with for sure.
The only one that I can remember, I mean, there's a big one we'll talk about, but the only one I can remember of like a hire is just like a regular employee that did not last long was I refer to him as the Pokemon Go guy because it was that summer.
Oh yeah,
and I remember he worked
Batman
like one
Midnight.
shift.
Oh no, you're not talking about you're not talking about an assistant.
No.
You're talking about a GA.
Oh no, I'm not. Yeah, we can talk about.
Yeah.
That's who you want to talk about. We can talk about that
him.
person.
Yes.
Okay, we will have some stories to tell about him in a minute. No. I was just like regular like employees we hired over the years because we had some that definitely bombed. But
just
the
quickly,
one I remember,
there were multiple times a year where they would pressure me to hire multiple people, and I'm talking like 3, 4, 5, 6 people.
Yeah.
For jobs that really didn't exist. So I didn't get that many apps. So sometimes I would have to take people I did not want to take just to meet quotas, so I didn't get yelled at.
Well, there was the one guy I remember you hired, and he was like, it was literally right when Pokemon Go started. That's all this dude cared about.
Mm-hmm.
He like came in. I think he worked like 1 or 2 shifts, and then he just stopped coming in because he worked somewhere else. But he also just wanted to fucking play Pokemon Go. Like literally, like this dude like the 4-hour shift that he worked with me. He just sat on his phone playing Pokemon Go. Like his friends came in, they talked about leaving to go play Pokemon Go. He bought one of those like power banks to take with him after work so they can go play Pokemon Go. Yeah, like it was that craze of Pokemon Go. But that's all I remembered as like he worked like 2 shifts and then we had to get rid of him because he just never.
There was
back.
Another GA girl I hired who showed up for 1 shift, didn't seem to get anything I was training her on, and then no showed the 2nd shift, and then tried to. And then, so I was just like, you know what? I think we're done. Like I'm not going to waste my time. And then she tried to like complain to me about not getting shifts and stuff. It's like, what do you like? Just you're not going to get any more. Like, let's just put it that way.
It's over.
And then she kept coming in like to see if her check had arrived. It's like it will be mailed.
I remember that now. Yeah,
it will be
I remember because she came in a couple times when it was just me, and then she would ask for the check, and I'm like,
should bother us constantly. It's like it's not here. You're going to get it.
Yeah,
it's just she was a lunatic. But all right, let's talk about.
You want to talk about the assistant that was forced upon us? Okay,
yeah. So we had our assistant who we loved. He moved away. He moved home to a different state. And we had to get a new assistant in the meantime. And we didn't have a say in it. Like we were forced one from another store. And typically when that happens, when you get one from another store, they're not the best.
Even though, and I remember specifically our DM being like, oh, this guy's really good. He's going to be a real good fit for your store. And I'm like,
fit in perfect.
Yeah.
All this other stuff. And then, come to find out later, the DM hated him too. It's like, why lie to me?
Jesus.
He was a mess. Like, it's hard to believe this wasn't his first job. He was what? He's like my age, right?
He was our age.
Or maybe older.
Easily. He could have been a little older, yeah.
But
and I'll be fair, like I'll say the first like 2 or 3 weeks he was whatever. Mm-hmm. And then, like, the cracks started to come through on certain things. I'm like, that doesn't seem right.
He would constantly have to move his schedule around and, like, had to pick up his kid from daycare. And if he didn't make it to daycare, they would charge him $200. And as a parent, that's real. Like, that happens. But, but he'd constantly move his stuff around without telling me. Like, you need to not even tell me, you need to ask me. Like, there's a difference.
Yeah, because I think one of his big undoings was like, I mean, we can talk about some of the dumb shit that he did, but I think his biggest undoing was like he was supposed to work a certain shift and I had come in to close and he bailed at that time I came in because of one of those like schedule things.
Yeah.
And I remember telling you, and you were finally at this point like
multiple hours early.
Yeah, and this was, and I remember this was, and you're finally like, we're going to use this to get rid of him finally because we really tried, like, so. The biggest thing in the beginning, because
I had to leave. Just tell the big part.
Well, I'll get to that. I'll get to that in a second. The first thing that really bothered me about this guy is like, okay, when you work at GameStop, you have to sell everything.
Oh, I know.
You can have your preference. You can, be a PlayStation person, Xbox, or whatever. Who cares? But when you work at a GameStop, you have to sell everything. You can't be closed-minded. This dude was a very big Sony fan. That's fine, but specifically the Vita. All this guy cared about was the Vita. Vita this, Vita that. This dude would regularly, and we didn't get a lot of Vita like systems at our store. Like again, the Vita right now, like in today's day and age, is like a boutique system that people, now want because
Very
it's kind
niche.
of a unique thing.
Yeah.
But back then, nobody fucking wanted a Vita. And so we would have like maybe 1 or 2 Vitas used like on hand, and that was it. We didn't get a lot of these Vita systems unless somebody traded one in. So in the course of a couple months, what this guy would do is somebody would come in. They would come in for a completely different reason. Like, oh, this guy's coming in to buy the latest game for Xbox. Somehow this manager would magically change that whole scenario, and this person will walk out with a PlayStation Vita used and a couple games, and then in the next couple days they would return it because they hated it. And what this guy would sell them on is like, well, it has, online connectivity and you can do remote play. You could be running a Destiny raid on your PS Vita. And like, he'd tell them all this crazy shit.
He would tell them all about like
that's
the weirdest
not gonna
stuff
work,
that didn't work. Yeah.
And I was the one that would eat all of these returns like every time. So I finally had out with him one night. I told him, you have to stop selling the Vita to people that don't want it. Oh, well, they do want it. When I'm like, no. They come in not looking for a Vita. They are not asking for a Vita. They're asking for something else, and you change it to the Vita. I get that you're passionate about it, but you can't, like, other people are not. So that was the first, like, major issue I had with him, because I'm just like, you have to sell everything, man. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But as the course, and he was only with us for a year until we finally got rid of him. Dan had to leave because he went out on maternity leave.
I went on maternity leave, yeah.
And so
it's gone for a month.
Me and the other third key, because we were both part-time assistants, and then he was the full-time assistant. Basically, me and this other part-time assistant, like Dan had told us when we left, like, you guys are in charge of the store.
Right,
just make sure this guy doesn't burn down the place.
Not him.
Yeah, basically that was the conversation. Like, just make sure he doesn't burn down the place. This fucking guy went nuts. So this is when Arkham Knight came out, and we had the midnight. This is one of the last like really big midnights I would say the store had. He got this idea that he went out, because every store, we've talked about it on the show before, like, you're not really given a budget for your midnights. So if you want to buy like snacks or pop or something to give out to people, that's out of your own pocket most of the time.
Yeah, and I would do it sometimes. It would depend.
You would do it sometimes. Yeah, like whatever. He got this idea. He's like, I'm going to go get, snacks and pop for the midnight. I'm like, okay. And this is all he said to me. This is the one thing he said to me. I'm like, okay. He says it to me and the other guy that's working. And he's like, I'm going to go do this. And I'm like, okay, whatever. And we, me and the other assistant, like, we continue to, get people coming in. They're getting ready to pick up the reserve. They're getting their pre-ringed receipts and whatever. He literally comes back with pop. He got like, I think there was some candy bars. Then there's like chips, like, like the little like small Frito-Lay bags of chips.
Yeah.
And so he sets up like a little display on the counter. And then he looks at me and he looks at the other sis. He goes, okay, so I think I'm going to charge like, $2.50 for the pop, and like maybe like buy two, get one for like the bags. I can get 2 bags of chips or whatever. And I'm like, me and the assistant look at each other like, the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, I'm going to charge for this stuff. I'm like, how are you going to do that? Oh, I'll make the money back. I'm like, but it didn't come out of the register here. Like,
who's making the money?
Paid your own money. So where's that money going? And like, he could not grasp the concept of this. And so we had to tell him, like, you're not charging anything for this stuff. So either you can leave it out and these people can partake of it for free, or take it in the back and it's yours. Like, I don't care, but you're not going to be doing this,
or you bought it for yourself.
There was this bunch, and I don't remember because, I mean, it's been years now, but there was a bunch of things that he was supposed to have done that he did not fucking have done.
Yep.
And then the best part of it was then the DM came rolling by.
Yep.
And our DM didn't really come by our midnights very often. I know why he came to this one specifically, because he wanted to see how this assistant was going to run the midnight. Let me just say that me and the other part-time assistant had a great hour watching him get reamed outside the front window, because he just got reamed for not having anything done. Because, I mean, he was supposed to have like, we remember they always said like making an event. So he was supposed to put up like streamers and like signage. And
posters,
so he did nothing.
He
literally did nothing but bought pop.
Yeah.
And chips. So, and that was just a good reminder. Like we did really good at that midnight. We had a lot of pickups for Arkham Knight, so like, overall it worked. But like, he was a disaster.
Yeah, he was bad, and then eventually, like
the schedule thing's what really
when
got
I came
rid
back
of him,
and he
though.
kept doing the thing with the schedule. Like we eventually like the DL and I were like, all right, we're done here. Like we'll call it time theft and we'll start the process. Like it's funny because like you would think it's easy, but it's actually super hard to fire someone at a GameStop. Like
It's really hard.
It's very difficult. Even in an at-will state, it is almost impossible.
You have to basically catch somebody stealing something.
But then, so he was supposed to open one day, right? And I think I was. It was off, an opening, and I think I was off that day.
You were off that day.
You were off that day.
I was off that, and you're like, "Hey, this is going to go down." You're like, "Hey, this is going to go down today. Do you mind opening?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure." And you're like, "All right." Basically, when you come in, you're going to have to park back in because where we were was a huge parking lot.
Yeah.
He's like, "You're going to have to park back." He's going to come in like he's opening. We're going to basically take care of this. We're going to get rid of him, and then you'll have to come in and open the day. I'm like, okay. So I got to sit in my car and literally watch this dude get fired.
Yeah.
Come out, had his little moment. He literally had a moment where he came out. He fucking had like one of those like sip and go cups from 7-Eleven or something. He fucking threw it on the ground.
Yeah, crutch.
And then got in his car and left. Yeah. And I was like, okay. And then I went in and was like, all right, I'm going to start opening the store. I just remember, and then you and the DM left.
I just remember too. The other thing we used to fire him was we had these stupid like leadership ratings. Remember these things? You maybe didn't, but like we would get ranked 1 to 5.
I remember
1 to 5.
Yes,
they were literally like putting like value on you and how good you are.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing was like, so I would get one from my boss, but I would have to give them to him. And every fucking month it was just like, you're at a 1, you're at a 1, you're at.
I remember that.
If I could, one month it was like, if I could give you a 0, I would. But like he was
I kind of remember that.
Yeah, just like I just crushed him. I'm like, you're not showing any improvement. If anything, like you are going back. Like it is just like not helping.
What is happening? Kind of.
So that was another way to like build the paper trail. So
yeah, it took like I think when we finally made that decision, it took a couple months.
At least an entire month.
It was like the end of that summer.
But he was trash. Like real quick too. Like our other assistant or like the other third key Kyle's talking about like. That guy, we talk about him favorably now, but like I would say for years, we had to put up with him. Like he was so annoying. Part of the reason he was always in like a bad mood was when I took over the store, he was the assistant already, and he assumed he was getting it.
He would be.
He assumed
just because he had been there. At that point, he'd been there for what? Like,
but the problem
6 years?
is like district managers never liked him. So I came from another store where I'd only been an assistant for 8 months, and walked in, and all of a sudden I'm his boss now. And I came in and I started changing stuff around, and like, he was my assistant for a while, and you could always tell like in the tone of his voice, he was just like resentful and all this kind of stuff. I finally had to be a breaking point where I told him, I was like, you need to understand something right now. You were never even considered to take over the store. Like I had to say that to him, like it's like a wake up call. Like you don't get it. Like, and then over time, his attitude changed.
His attitude changed. There was a point where he had to take a demotion because of something.
Well, he went and got another job. He went and got
another job that didn't pan out. Let's just put it that way.
But
and
he was like,
that was also another, I'd say, breaking moment.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, I would never say that we were friends on like a personal level because we were not, and we never would be.
It was a respect.
But it was more of a. Well, the other thing about him is like he did his job incredibly well. Like, you could never complain about that. I never did. If I had to give him those rating things, he would have been
5 every time.
Fine every time. So
exactly.
So those are just some good.
And the thing I'll add in there about him too is like he had a kind of personal vendetta against me when I started because I had worked at the same store years and years ago as like a seasonal employee. So he hated me from back then. He was not happy when Dan brought me on as the other assistant at the time. And then like I'd say the first year or so, like those were the worst shifts I had to work with him because we just didn't get along. Mm-hmm. And then as these things started cracking, they became the best shifts I worked because we both kind of realized that we got to the point where we're like, look, man, it's not you and I that we hate. It's these fucking customers that are terrible that we hate. And that's what it became. So we ended up having like a great time by the end. So, but
it was all good.
I have nothing really bad to say about it now.
You said by the end.
But by the end, those were some of the best shifts that I worked. So many good memories there at the end. But yeah, so I mean that kind of wraps up like I mean there were other like seasonal hires that you had that
didn't
some
work
of them worked, some of them were great, and some of them didn't work out. So is what it is. So let's see here. Next question we have Eric from St. Louis, Missouri. This one's geared towards me, and that's why I held a news item. It says, "Hi guys, love the show. Been listening to since the early episodes. My question is for Kyle. You've talked a lot about your feelings on Halo Infinite." Oh, sure I have on this. Do you think there's anything that can save it at this point, or do you think that is truly just another failure on 343? They've rumored this Battle Royale mode, but nothing has officially been announced. Between the seeming failure of Infinite and the television show that didn't help things at all, I feel like Halo has never been in a worse place. Thanks. Well, the first thing I'll say is I agree with you. I don't think Halo's ever been in a worse place than it is right now because the TV show is dreadful. I don't think it'll get renewed after a second season because the viewership from what I've looked into had dropped after the first 2 episodes, but they already made an arrangement to film a second season. I can't imagine it getting a 3rd season, so that'll be surprising if it does. But I would treat the TV show as like the black sheep of that. It's fucking terrible. The news article I left because it tied right into this, and I think it's hilarious. So the last time they added a new game mode to this game was with the last season update, which is, again, season 2 that was in May. And we're still on season 2 in August.
Ugh, man.
Is the
So
last
crazy.
Spartan standing mode, and they are removing that from the game in the next like drop pod they're doing in a couple days here. And that's why I looked at that, and then I saw the email come through. I'm just like, yeah, I literally read your email, and I was like, I fully agree. Like, I don't think Halo's ever been in a worse place. This should be their flagship fucking game. Everybody should be like, when it launched, everybody should still be playing this. But because they chose to go the live service route without knowing properly how to make a live service game, that's why they're suffering. So, do I think it can be saved? I think you'll get some people to come back if this Battle Royale mode is real. I think it is.
Right.
The more kind of crazy thing that I've been seeing is all this stuff with like the pre-forged stuff that's coming out. People have made crazy shit in that.
Well, I mean, that's one of the cooler things that happens in that game is when people make stuff in there.
But the thing that's important to note there is like the people that are making that crazy shit that you're looking at right now are playing on PCs. They're not playing on an Xbox.
Well, yeah.
So that shit's not going to run great on an Xbox. So, is that game going to be saved? No, I think they try this route for, another year, and then you're going to get Halo Infinite 2 or whatever they call the next thing. I also think they should have never called the game Halo Infinite. That was a bad idea.
I think this is the kind of game where like it just kind of always stays around and they're always trying to fix it. But
and
they'll
they
be
maybe
some
just
kind
don't talk about Halo like a sequel to this until the next whatever the next thing is.
I don't think there's a sequel to this. I think if anything, it's one of those things where like in a year
another Halo game,
we tear it down and like it's Halo Infinite 2.0 and it's been rebuilt from the inside.
I could see
and like
that
you know
too.
what I mean, like because games do that. So I could see that happening.
I can see it. All right. The next email we have comes from Ryan from Rugby, North Dakota. I always get my little initial things wrong. Hi, guys. Was curious, what is the best midnight launch you guys ever worked/went to, and what was the worst? Thanks. So I know Dan wrote some in here. The best one that I'll say is one I went to. I was not working at GameStop at the time. Halo 3. Nothing will ever beat it. There was like 300 people at it. There was a dude that fucking turned his Jeep into a warthog, and it looked amazing in the dark. And then I saw it the very next day, and it looked terrible in the light. But I've never experienced a midnight launch event like that. Fucking it was insane. And it was at a time where the shopping center where our GameStop was worked, like it still had the Walmart, it still had all the other businesses. So like it was packed and busy, and shit was happening. I mean, other ones I say like Skyrim was very successful. Call of Duty up until I'd say like 2015 was very successful.
Those tended to be the most populated. Like
when the Arkham Knight one obviously is memorable for me for what we just talked about, but it was a busy one. Like
there was a modern, or I don't remember which Call of Duty it was, but there was one when I was working at the store before I came to ours, where we had one of those like game van things show up. You know what I'm talking about? Where like with like the screens in it. It's got all this stuff.
Those were cool.
So like and it was a big thing. So he hung out in our parking lot, and like people got to play in there. And then we had pizzas and stuff were delivered, but we didn't have to pay for it. And then like we gave away a copy of the game and like some other stuff, and like those were the Call of Duty ones always tended to be the biggest ones for obvious reasons. Other tinier good ones were like the Smash I wrote in there. Smash was cool because it was like, obviously that's a game a lot of people were excited about for a very long time.
Which Smash are we talking about?
The Wii U one.
Okay.
Because that was the first time, but that was the first time they added like, it was 8 players. And like, so we actually had it set up, and like people were, because you could use like a DS, I think, as a controller.
That was the one that came out on 3DS as well. Yeah.
Yeah. So like that was a big deal because, you know, it's Smash. People want Smash. We had a lot of people there, and we had it set up, and you could play it. I was like the ones where we could set the thing up ahead of time, like, and when we had the big TV before our DM stole it.
Or like if it was a Sony one, kind of in the earlier days, we'd have like one of the Sony reps come and hang out with us.
Yeah,
that was always
cool.
cool.
Because I was good friends with him.
That sounds pretty cool.
Yeah. So he could come and
give us shit,
give us stuff to give away. He would hang out, like he would hang out and like talk to customers and stuff about it. He was really cool because we were local.
That's pretty dope.
So yeah, like there were a lot of really good ones. Bad ones, it was just like, I've talked about it before, but like the Driver 3 one was unbelievable. I had to drive to pick that up from a different store from the airport, so nobody could buy it. That was really dumb.
Yeah.
Paid somebody to be there till 12. And that was back at the time when it was midnight. It wasn't 10 o'clock. It wasn't whatever.
Yeah.
It was literally 12, and he just was there by himself. Called me when it was done. Nobody came in.
To 11, like I guess kind of the prominence of like digital is what changed that to like 11 because it was territory based.
Digital didn't even change it too terribly much. It just became the kind of thing where like once online games were more popular, because if somebody bought it in New York at midnight, you had to wait an hour to play it here, and an hour to play it. And like, so it's just like, that's why it became 9, because then it was like everybody
always remember I always remember The Witcher 3 because that was the one where they were like, fuck it, it's out in whatever country that game, you know, is. I forget the name of the country. Poland, that's right. And they're just like, fuck it, sell it now. It was like 7 o'clock, so we're like, I guess there's no midnight.
It was earlier than that.
Fucking started selling the games,
and there would always be
4,
it was like 3 or 4.
I don't think we ended up having the midnight because we just sold the game. And I want to say, didn't we put a sign on the door? Because I think most of our midnight pickups happened because we got on the phone and started calling those people.
Yeah, we told people
like, hey, come get your game now.
Come get it now.
Yeah, so we ended up not having to have it for that because that was one of the weird.
I'm trying to think of other bad midnights. There was a time. 4. There was that, but there was a time where we would be open.
One other guy.
We would be open for like every game. For a little while, there was one.
There was a little while,
and it was like they tried to do it before college football was over. Like college football, it's like,
that's insane.
I don't think you understand. It's college football. It'll be we'll be fine. So yeah, it was just like, but they would get bad because you'd get 1 or 2 people, and then like sometimes it would be like the one person you really don't want to hang out for 3. Some people wouldn't leave. Just be awful, and you have to. Yeah, it's just bad. And then, you know, even some of the slower ones, like if I'd schedule, so it was like me and Kyle, and we would just put in a movie and watch a movie all night.
Well, like the thing that was cool about our store is the TV for the Xbox display had a thumb drive like thing in the back, so you could override the Xbox, and I would just put movies on the thumb drive. So if it was a relevant movie to what was coming out, like I know when the first Battlefield remake came out, we ran Star Wars like for a whole month.
Battlefront,
yeah. We run that a lot. I know we watched a couple of Batman movies on there. Like, yeah, absolutely, we did a lot of that. So, which was fine.
Yeah.
So that was a fun thing until that customer, you know, you didn't want to see comes in and goes, "Oh, you got the Dark Knight on. I'm gonna sit on the floor and watch it."
Yeah, there was that. Then we were
and then it's like, well, my night's ruined.
Yeah. And then there was always certain customers who would come to the midnight to ruin them. Like the Smash one, I don't know how to describe the guy to you enough, Kyle, but like this was back. It was him and his girlfriend.
I think that was one I said ahead of time. This is one I don't.
Yeah, you did not work it. But it was like you knew this kid. He was like the tall guy and his girlfriend. He would come in, he would talk to you, and he would just act like he was smarter than you about everything. And remember, this was like I shit on him for this, even though we're doing it right now. But like he had like like a podcast or a YouTube channel back then, and this would have been like 8 years ago. And
Yes, I remember exactly who you're talking about now.
He's like, check us out. And we're like, we hated that guy. Like, dude, you are so...
I can't remember what the name of his... Yeah.
I remember. I know what the name of it was, and I'll tell you later. But
okay.
He was so fucking annoying. Like, oh my God. Every time he'd come in, it was just like, great. Because he'd give you a 30-minute lecture about how he was smart.
Yeah, he would act like he's your buddy, but at the same time, he would be condescending.
Talk down to you, for sure. And you're like,
dude.
It's
just very fucking annoying, bro. Like,
you don't have anything else to do? Like, go talk down to your girlfriend or something instead. Okay? So, not me.
Oh, for sure. But the Uncharted 4 Midnight, I think, was the one where I finally just had the realization of like, I don't really want to work midnights anymore, because like it was just such a waste of time.
I was happy when they were over.
I was happy too when it was like, because it just like when I wasn't working at GameStop and it was in that like 2000, I'd say 2007 to whenever I started like 2013, and I was picking up games in that like 360 era. That was a fun thing to go do and pick up those games and stuff. Once you start actually working those, then it's like, oh, now I see all these people for several hours that I'd rather not see for several hours. So I was happy when Midnights died too. I mean, I don't even think, I've never actually checked at the GameStop over by me now where I live, but I don't think they run Midnights at that one. I just don't think it's a thing anymore.
If it is,
it's maybe for something really big like Pokemon, but
I was going to say, I don't think I've heard of any of our local areas running any midnight.
I remember when the Switch came out and I had mine reserved, I told you I didn't want to work that midnight. I would work the next day, and I just picked up my system the next day instead. Yeah. Like, I didn't even want to go to them. I was just like, I'll just play the Switch the next day. Like, there's no point. Yeah. So, but all right, next question is directed towards me. So one thing I will mention, I've told you guys before, but I also, since the episode we had with Ryan, I post the audio on my YouTube channel, just another outlet for people to listen to. So this is where specifically this person had listened to the podcast, is somebody that watches my YouTube channel. But I've been doing that since the episode we had with Ryan, and we get some views there too. So, Crystal from Tacoma, Washington says, "Hi guys, love the podcast. I found out about it on Kyle's Marvel Gallery channel. My question is for Kyle and more related to his channel. In your review of Stray," so I did a video review of Stray. "Hey, you had talked about your cat Frankie having cancer and how the end of the game impacted you with that. I was curious if you had an update on Frankie." So I got a little weepy at the end of that review because that game kind of hit me hard. With I've had 2 cats now that have had cancer. One that passed last year very, very suddenly, but he's very, very old. He was 20 years old. Frankie, I have 3 cats. Frankie is an incredible, weird, crazy cat. He's unlike any other cat that I've ever owned. He acts like a dog. He was diagnosed with cancer like in February. I want to say it was February. As far as he's doing, he's actually doing really good. The thing that's really cool about it, and I'll just talk about it briefly, is my girlfriend works overnight at like a very, very big special veterinary center. She's a vet tech. She works overnights at it. So because of that, we have really good pet insurance. So the thing that's been really nice about the situation with Frankie is that all of his medical costs are basically covered. So he gets...
You couldn't have told me that when my dog blew out his ACL, and you couldn't have just pretended he was your dog?
We can only, obviously we have 3 cats, we have a dog. We can only have I forget. There's some stipulation where only 2 of them can have things that are fully covered. So obviously her dog is one of them, and then
my dog,
Alucard, our cat that passed, was the other one.
No, I know.
When he passed, we were like, let's do Frankie.
I'm just
and we lucked out. That was actually a really smart decision.
Yeah, I mean that's crazy. That's awesome that you have that.
So he goes in every month. Every month he gets either blood work done or they shave his belly. They do stuff there. They do like an ultrasound. So I always laugh because he's got a naked belly. But he's doing really good. He's basically at what the doctor says is he's kind of on pause with it. It's not progressing worse. It's not getting better. It's just at a pause. He acts normal. He has his bad days. He'll have days where you can tell it's hitting him hard. He'll spend a little more time sleeping or something. But for the most part, he's running around like an idiot, like he normally does, chasing one of the other cats. Or begging for too much food and then not eating it. Right. Looking at me because he wants to eat what I'm eating. But no, I'm glad you reached out. He's doing well, so I'm very happy. In fact, knock on wood, all of our animals are actually in a good place right now. So, but yeah, thank you for asking. Let's see. Next question we have is Zach from. I hope I'm going to pronounce this right. Zach from Chico, California. I think that's how you pronounce it.
Chico.
That's what I thought when I read it.
Yeah, I mean,
hey guys, I love when you all talk GameStop. With retro games at an all-time high, why do you think they still don't allow stores to sell retro games in the store? Multiple times I've been in a store behind someone trading in decent stuff only to ask and find out that the games have to be sent and cleaned and tested. Isn't that what they pay all of you to do with modern stuff? It just doesn't make sense to me. I would think given the hardships of the company that the company has currently, selling retro in store would only increase profit. Thanks.
I can tell you exactly why, there's two reasons. There's two reasons. Number one is, yes, it is what they pay us to do with like retro or like modern stuff. But the fact of the matter is like modern stuff is discs, and it's is it scratched, is it not, that kind of stuff. You could make an argument with like PS1 stuff that maybe they could just sell it in store because that would be easy enough to verify if it's good or not, and those aren't really faked. But cartridge-based stuff like Super Nintendo, not even Nintendo as much, but Super Nintendo, Game Boy Advance, Game Boy, are faked to hell and back, especially like Pokemon games. Like you can't trust any of them. And the thing is like a lot of people working at GameStops now, like in this era, don't know. I wouldn't even say if they don't care, they just don't know.
They don't know.
They don't know what to look for. Like some of these Pokemon fakes are good. I mean, a lot of them are bad, but some of them are good. And like, if you don't know what you're looking for, like Kyle and I do, or Matt and I do, you're not going to notice it. It's
exactly.
You're going to look at it and just see like, oh yeah, man, that sure looks like Pokemon Fire Red because it's a red cartridge, but it's the wrong color red, or it's the wrong Nintendo seal, or it's the font is slightly off, or the label is angled,
looks weird,
or just like or feels weird, or the cartridge, the O in Nintendo is the wrong O. Like those are things that actually happen.
They're legitimate things that actually happen. Yeah.
So the simple fact is like if you relied on that, and 64 games are fake too, because the other thing people don't understand about 64 games is I can take apart a Sculptor's Cut like cartridge and put a board for Mario 64 in there and screw it back together, and they don't have a way to test it at the store because like Super Nintendo games are the same. Like you could swap pieces of carts easily and rebuild whatever you want. So that's a big reason why, for your sake, you probably don't want them to sell those in store unless you really know what you're looking at, or they know what they're looking at. Like at our store, we did sell it, even though we weren't supposed to. We did though.
We kept it to like disc stuff or stuff that you could add. Like a lot of times actually for us, like we would get lucky. Like if somebody came in with a lot of stuff, they would have a system. Yeah. So we'd at least have a way to test the games and go, oh, okay. Yeah. And then we could put them out. But like disc stuff, I mean, you could pretty easily
we would
tell.
Get Dreamcast stuff sometimes, like pretty easy to tell if that's fake or not. We'd sell those.
And again, we would only put these out if they had an actual SKU, obviously.
Yes.
If they were something that didn't have a SKU, obviously.
We would have to do other things with those. But
other things, and then we might have purchased
those. And we might have purchased those for different prices than they would have gone for on eBay.
Yeah.
But so that's part of it. The other reason is GameStop wants them all in the warehouse so that they have a pool of them at the warehouse.
They can put on the website.
That can all be through the website, and then you have to take your chances on what you order on the website. And like the website, it's hit or miss, man. It's the same thing with if you buy a current game, like especially a used one. Of what you're buying a used Cube game on the website, that's maybe 50-50 you're getting a case. And then from that point, maybe 50-50 you're getting a manual in it. Some people get lucky. Some people post stuff and get lucky. Like Kyle and I ordered a bunch of stuff off of there, and we got lucky a lot of times. And if we didn't, we returned it. No big deal. Yeah.
And that was the thing we would always tell people too, that would come in the store looking.
Give it a shot.
We'd say like, if you get it and it doesn't, it's not what you want it to be, like it doesn't have what you're looking for, like complete, you can just return it.
Or if you want to be super safe about it, get it delivered to the store. And we can inspect it here.
Exactly.
Bring it, if it's a Game Boy game, bring in your Game Boy when you come to pick it up or something. But yeah, so it's because they want you to buy through the website. They like to say that they're cleaned and tested at the warehouse. I'm telling you right now, that's bullshit. Those people don't care.
No.
Pop it in a system for 2 seconds, see if it works, and take it out and ship it. They don't
they're not even checking if things are completely.
They're not checking if they're real.
Together.
Cartridges, no. Kyle.
No, not at all.
Kyle ordered Castlevania Dracula X from the website and got a football game. Super NES by Action Football.
Yeah.
Like they don't. Like we have empirical proof that they do not test them or clean them because your cartridge that you got was broken. Like
it was dirty and it wasn't completely screwed back together. It's like they literally took it and just threw it in.
They opened up what they could to get the board out and put the board in, and that's all they did.
Exactly.
So yeah, that's the main reason. It's definitely a bummer. Like, let's in a scenario like you said, where if I'm at the store and the guy ahead of me trades stuff in. Like I'd sell it to the next person, no problem. Guy trades in a Mario Kart for 64 and I'm 99.9% sure it's real. Yeah, man, I'll sell it to you. It's $50 or whatever. And we'd sell it right away. But we were never supposed to keep them. But we always told our DM, fuck you, I'm going to keep it because I want the thing too that you want the $50
profit for our store.
I want the $50.
That's pure profit.
Yeah.
For the store.
So we would try to sell as much as you can. And every now and then, like if you go into a GameStop, you might get lucky and they might have Game Boy games or something like that because some stores are smart and they don't send their stuff out. But it's really unlikely. If you want to buy it off the website, like I said, I'd take the chance, and worst case scenario, you can get all of your money back. Not even just store credit. You get your money back. So you're really looking for a game that pops up on there, give it a shot, but know what you're looking for and know what to look at when you get it. Because I don't trust it.
All right. Next email we have comes from Aaron from Evansville, Indiana. He says, "Hi guys, I was curious as you all talk a lot about various retail stores from your youth, not just GameStop and Game Crazy, but things like rental stores. I'm curious, what's a former retail chain you remember buying games from that no longer exists today? For example, as a kid, I used to walk to my local Kmart to buy games, which is long gone. Thanks." So I know you wrote a couple down.
Yeah.
The two I'll mention, one of them you actually have written down as well, because we both experienced, because it was in the same town. Venture. Venture. It's really hard to describe. Venture was just like a Target Walmart.
It was Target before it was Target. Yeah, I would say that's the best way to say what it is. Department store.
I got with my grandma my original copy of Zombies Ate My Neighbors from Venture on clearance.
Tecmo Super Bowl on clearance. Because they used to just put them
clearance.
You probably remember it too. Like they used to just have them in a bin, like in the aisle.
Yep, and that's where I found it. I was like, "This game looks cool."
You probably went to the same Venture I did. The one on
oh, absolutely.
Yeah, right there in town.
Yeah, exactly.
And I remember where the video games are. Like you'd go in, my parents would go this way, I'd go that way, and I just looked through everything. And one day I was in there, and they had Tecmo Super Bowl in there, which is a game I'd wanted for a while. And they were one of the first places that had like the scanner things. Remember? They had take it over to this thing and scan it.
You could scan and see like if it was even cheaper, or
so
maybe it was
brought over to the thing, scanned it, and it pops up $9.99. And I was like, "Yeah, buddy." Went over to my dad and said, "This is $10." He's like, "Okay, fine." Like they used to clearance stuff constantly.
The copy of Zombies my grandma bought for me was $7.
Yeah.
Think about that.
Nice.
They just wanted to get rid of stuff at that place.
Exactly. They didn't care.
No, because it was very much not an electronics store. I remember it being a department store, almost more, not even like a Target, almost more like a JC,
like a catalog store, like a service merchandise.
Not even
that's
what
there. I was thinking of.
Service merchandise. That's
you remember that's a good one, right?
That was over by our store. That's what the big thing our store was. I got I think my dad got my Nintendo there.
Okay.
And they used to have those set up, and you could try them there too. I remember that every time.
For sure, I remember that.
Mm-hmm.
That's another good store from the past. The only other one I was going to mention, and he mentioned it in here too, but when I lived in Michigan, my house was directly behind a Super Kmart. Mm-hmm. So like most of the time I only lived there for 3 years, but most of the time I bought most of my games either from GameStop, which was in the next town over because we didn't have one in that town, or I would go and just walk to this fucking Super Kmart and have Little Caesars and buy a game.
There you go.
So I got my, I can remember certain games. Like I bought Final Fantasy X there. I remember that.
Okay.
That's where I famously bought my GameCube.
Yeah,
Waited 14 hours for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I bought a bunch of games there, but yeah, that was a cool. We also used to just walk there all the time because there's, again, it's high school. You have nothing to do before you have a driver's license. Exactly. That is now an IKEA today. I could not imagine living behind an IKEA.
No, that would suck.
That just seems ridiculous.
Yeah,
so those are the only two I had. I mean, you put good ones on here too that I would agree with.
KB Toys. They had a really good like video game section. It was always up at the front behind like the counter.
Yeah.
But they were the places that had the big cases. Remember? Like the big locking cases that had the stuff in. Yeah. And then that's where I got my Link to the Past. I remember that specifically because my uncle bought it for me. But yeah, I remember always going there and looking because they always had good selections of like, I remember the case behind the counter at ours was, or the Game Boy stuff was specifically. So like you could see all the Game Boy boxes and stuff in there. And then obviously the big one is Toys R Us just because I remember the wall.
I agree with you on that one too. The wall with like the little tickets.
Tag. So like you have the little tags, cover over the box.
Really cool.
And then they had like description on it, and then you'd take the tag and you'd go up and buy it at the thing, and then you'd have to go to the little shack in the back corner with some dude who just
they had it all locked
sits in there probably smoking cigarettes all day. And you give him your little ticket, and he hands you your copy of Kirby or something, and you're like, thanks, bro. But yeah, so those are the big ones I remember actually making purchases for. Venture is a store I haven't thought about in probably 20 years.
No, I haven't thought about that
Isn't
either.
That crazy?
No, that's like
that's
it's a Hobby Lobby now. Yeah.
Oh.
I think it sat for a while before it became Hobby Lobby.
It was.
What was it in between?
It was a kids' play thing. It was a bigger version. It was called Dino Rex.
Because now, what's next to it? Like Leaping Lizards or something?
No, it's like it's a different place, kind of like that. But it was a bigger. It was a bigger thing first.
I remember Leaping Lizards, but I think that was on the other side.
That was over closer to my house. But that was
over closer by the video store. I always think of
empty. Yeah.
Oh, I'm not surprised.
It's empty now. What about you, Matt? Any places you remember that's
anything
different
you remember?
Than those?
So I never really bought anything as a kid. My parents always told me no.
Yeah,
I was more of a renter.
But I always test played everything at Toys R Us and like KB.
Yeah.
The bigger one I remember as a kid is Sears.
Okay.
We didn't go to Sears much.
Oh, my dad and I don't know why. My mom and dad were religiously in Sears, like for everything. Like I felt like my dad bought multiple lawnmowers as a kid.
You know what?
I only ever remember one.
My dad would have done that too if we were closer to one. But yeah,
But I feel like every weekend I felt like we were in Sears, like just like he was looking at lawnmower shit for some reason. So like weed eaters but all I remember is just being like, as soon as you walked in, I was just like, can I go look at the video games?
Right.
And he'd be like, yeah, I'll be right here. And I was like, all right, cool.
So 2 hours later, really you're both in the same place.
Yep.
Yeah.
I remember the first time I tried a Sega Genesis was in a Sears.
Yeah.
You know what other weird old store I remember
random story
for video games too was Montgomery Wards.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah,
that's a good one.
That's a Mariano's now, but it was a Sears in between. Ironically enough,
it was.
But Montgomery Wards also had I remember the aisles of video games. So we would go there too whenever we were there.
They tore that down and built that Mariano's. Like that building no longer even exists.
Well, that became the Sears, which was.
It became the Sears, and then that closed.
Even when it was a Sears, and they ripped it all out.
Even when it transitioned, it was dead.
Yeah, it was awful.
Yeah, I think Montgomery Ward is where I got my finger stuck in an escalator. But
that's good.
Kid shit,
Yeah,
Jeez, a couple more emails we got. We only had one real game recommendation this week. Amy from Danville, Virginia. She says, "Hi all, I have a game recommendation. Have any of you recently played the recently released Cult of the Lamb? It's extremely addicting. I have been looking at it.
Me too.
Me too.
The reason I haven't bought it is I've read there's a lot of technical issues and people losing save progress and stuff. So I'm kind of waiting. There's 3 reasons why I'm waiting. 1, I'm waiting for patches. 2, I'm waiting for it to go cheaper. Or 3, maybe it comes to Game Pass. So
yeah, I wishlisted
that's always my fear with buying something is like, 2 weeks later it's on Game Pass.
I wishlisted it. I think it's 25 right now.
I have it too. It's 25.
I feel like if
Yeah.
that hits 15, I think I'll just do it.
That's a good price for it. It looks cool.
It looks
Yeah.
cool. It like and like when I read what it was actually about, I'm like, oh, okay, that's weird as hell, but I'm kind of into that. But I think just with the amount of stuff I have right now, like I would have to get that on a deal to want to play it right now. But someday,
Same.
For sure.
Yeah.
But I'm interested in it. By Black Friday, there'll be a sale on it.
Yeah.
For sure.
Final email we have of the week. This is a fun one. It comes from Craig from Mellon. I hope I'm saying this right. Mellon or Milan. I think you would say Mellon, Wisconsin. It says, hi guys. I was curious what seemingly dead franchise would you like to see come back from the dead? For example, I'd love to see a new Soul Reaver game, so Legacy of Kain series.
Yeah.
Thanks. That's a good one. So
That's dope.
all put in some answers here. I'll go with mine first.
Yeah.
Castlevania, obviously, always a big one for me. I adored that the first Lords of Shadow. The second one, not as much, but the first one, like one of the best games I've ever played. But I like anything Castlevania. Yeah, we got Bloodstained, a couple years ago, and that's a great game, and I look forward to. I know that they're making a sequel to that, and I'm excited about that. But like in an era when Capcom, or not Capcom, Konami, who's not making a lot of games, gave the rights to Castlevania to make an excellent anime, like one of the best animes I've ever seen. I'm not a big anime person, but I love that Castlevania show. Now we're getting a sequel series. Like, why not just make a new game? Like, the time is right now.
I think, and the other
there's
thing
a lot
about
of popularity
too,
too.
like, make 2D games. Bloodstained worked.
Yeah,
make that.
Bloodstained worked. You don't. Yeah, you don't have to make a 3D game.
No, I don't think I want that for
Not at all.
Castlevania. I think I would love a Bloodstained Castlevania game. Right.
Well, somebody said to me a while ago, and I've always thought of this, is like the Dark Souls series is kind of like what a 3D Castlevania would be at this point, anyways. So
pretty much,
like it's exactly what you're doing. Another big one, Dan and I were just talking about this the other day. Dead Rising. I think now more than ever, Dead Rising is a franchise. It's been long enough now. That last one was 2016.
It's been a while.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
You could totally, and I would reboot it.
I worked at
I would
Gamescom,
try and make a Dead Rising 5.
No, yeah, we talked about it. Make it Dead Rising, and make it for new consoles only.
Yes.
A new mall. I would honestly, as much as I love Frank, make a new character.
New character.
Yeah.
And just do it again. Dead Rising, but it's set. You know where be a cool place to put it? Like Washington D.C.
Yeah,
do
somewhere
something like
that hasn't been done before.
Yeah.
But the one thing I would add in there is like you can have hints of past characters. Like you can do a nod to Frank West or Chuck Green.
Don't ignore.
That's fine.
Don't ignore the
before,
past, but make a.
But you don't have to make him the character or try to reboot that character. Just reboot the franchise, and I would be happy. So
imagine a Series X PS5 Dead Rising, like what they could do with it. It would be really good.
Just the zombie count alone and like the gore effects and stuff. Like they could really go nuts with it.
Load times.
I also like the humor of that franchise.
But the load times and stuff, like think about how much that would cut out. Yeah, it'd be great.
Oh, for sure. And the final thing I put on for me was just a fun one is a new Chrono Trigger sequel. Like, Chrono Cross was 20 years ago. I don't know why that franchise just eludes. Like you can make a game in that style today and people would be happy. Look at the stuff that we're getting today that comes out. That's kind of a throwback.
Valkyrie, Dial Field. Like, we're getting those, like Tactics Ogre is getting redone. Like,
it's just really weird. And I thought maybe, and it's unfortunate that port of Chrono Cross is, maybe it's good now. I haven't tried it since it came out, but like, it's unfortunate that was kind of a broken port when it came out because I thought, well, if this gets enough attention, maybe that'll be enough for them to do a sequel.
I don't think it got anywhere near.
I don't think it set the world on fire.
No.
So how about you, Dan? What are your choices?
So I tried to pick a couple different things, like from different genres I like to see. Like one game I always loved and always wanted more, and I actually just thought of another one, so I'll add that on at the end. But that I always kind of loved was Freedom Fighters back in like the GameCube and Xbox and PS2 days, because I always liked that game because it was like not even necessarily like the story or whatever, but like the gameplay was cool because like you'd command your guys of like, hey, go around this corner to see if there's guys up there, and they take guys out. And then it was like, if you went to take down the post office, that would help you at the power plant. If you went to the power plant, that would help you at this. So it was kind of like what you didn't have to be strategic, but like you could be, and it would affect the game.
Sure.
It's also important to note that that game was made by IO Interactive. who makes Hitman.
Mhm.
Oh, that's I
And
didn't
is
know that,
making
but yeah,
and
that's
is
cool.
making the new James Bond game, which I'm super amped for them to make a James Bond game.
Yeah, no,
But
for
like
sure.
they, like in some of the Hitman levels, you see like Freedom Fighters arcade machines and stuff like that. Like I would love to see a new one, like especially now because that was PS2. Like make one now, like that could be awesome.
Yeah.
Like the commanding your units and all that kind of stuff, and like telling them, like recruiting people and all that kind of stuff. Like that would be cool.
That would be a good one.
I'm a big fan of like NBA Jam and NFL Blitz and all that kind of stuff.
Oh,
those are
yeah.
And like
cool. Those
Slugfest
are
and
cool.
like I'd love to see a new one now. Like they did an NBA Jam at this point like a decade ago, and like they
Mhm.
kind of brought back Blitz around the same time. They were both kind of good, but they let them die. And like I
they
think
did.
there's room for NBA Jam, maybe not Blitz, because there's this whole thing going on right now where like the One Up Arcade people, they're releasing a Blitz machine, which I
saw
thought
that,
Okay.
I was like, oh, that could be cool, but it's $600, but it's online. Like that's neat, and it's got 3 different versions of Blitz. But they edited it. They had to take out late hits, big tackles, because the NFL told them if you're going to release this, you have to take this stuff out. And then
That's
because it's still like the 90s
bummer.
rosters, they can't license all those people anymore. So it's only got about 80% of the people. So like you're not releasing Blitz. So like I get what you had to do, but it makes me not care because I could just get out my 64 and really play Blitz if I wanted to. But
exactly.
but I would love to
Those are
see
good
a new
ones.
one. And then the other one I wanted in that vein was like I really loved Biggs and Biggs 2, like the arcade
Mhm.
baseball stuff on 360. I'd love to see a new one now. And then another one was Golden Sun. Like I love those RPGs on Game Boy Advance. 1 and
Those
2
are
are
good, yeah.
like 2 of the best RPGs I've ever played in my entire life.
Yeah.
And they're Game Boy Advance games. I used to play them on my GameCube, like Game Boy Advance adapter
The Game Boy player
with my
That's a
Super
great way to play
Nintendo
those.
controller I had for the Cube. And those games are incredible. They made that DS one, which was okay, but it had a lot of
Not the
filler
same.
content in it. It just didn't feel the same. But I'd love to see a new one like on the Switch. Like
That's
that'd
a
be
good
awesome.
one, yeah. That'd be
Especially
cool.
like with the way
That'd
that
be
like
nice.
like Octopath and all that stuff is taken off. Like there's room for another Golden Sun game. And then the last one I thought of at the beginning of this was and we know it was real at one point, and maybe it's real again. Where is Time Splitters? Where is it?
Yeah, right. Where is Time Splitters?
Because they just didn't they come
Future
out like a
Perfect
year or
is an
2 ago
incredible
where they
game.
were like,
yeah, I want to
we
say
are
they did
making
too,
4
yeah.
or something. It's like,
Yeah.
where is Time Splitters?
Where is that game? Yeah.
Time Splitters was great because it was the evolution of GoldenEye and Perfect Dark became Time Splitters. And then like Time Splitters was good, 2 was better, and Future Perfect is great. Like,
Future Perfect is incredible.
And then like, where's 4? Give me Time Splitters. That's what I want back. I want Time Splitters back.
Yeah, that's a good one. Actually, I would have thought of that.
Yeah.
How about you, Matt?
So, ironically, I was looking at the collection, and the first thing I said was a new Onimusha.
Agree.
Yeah.
I mean,
I liked all those.
It's been a good minute since we got. I mean, we got that remaster, but that's all it is.
Wasn't a great remaster though. Yeah.
Right. So I was like, yeah. So I was really thinking about that, and I was like, man, I really did like that. I think that's like the one trilogy like I ran through as soon as I could get them all. And I really think I think it would work now, especially with all the different engines we have. I feel like
absolutely
it could be
something
pretty
like
good
Ghost
one.
of Tsushima exists. You could make
You could definitely make one.
God, imagine
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Something crazy.
Jeez,
I love
think
Ghost
about
of
it.
Tsushima.
And then the other one I thought about real hard was Tenchu.
Yeah.
And I know
That's
they
a good
dropped
one too from the past.
Yeah, I know they dropped ironically, I bought Tenchu Z at a garage sale a couple months ago, and that's what made me think about it. And I was like, man, I really miss like just the whole idea behind this game. Yeah,
it's a really
I thought
good
it was dope.
Sneaking
Like
around,
it was
like sneaking around the villages, and like you could go
you were throwing
like
the ninja stars.
Yeah, but like you go down into the water and like around the back way and climb up and stuff. Like
yeah,
it's that game that was very ahead of its time.
Mm-hmm.
Very much so. Like I was really shocked that they haven't thought about redoing that. And like just the amount of stuff that they could do, like, especially like grapples and all that, like tethering yourself to places. Like I think it would be amazing right now, especially with what we have available. And then my last one, I just want it to come true, is Mario RPG,
like a real not
a
Paper
fucking
Mario. Yeah,
no, like a real one. Just bring Mario
I agree.
Legend of the Seven Stars 2. Like that's what you could name it.
The
I'd
problem
be
with
okay
that
with
is
that.
the problem with that is at this point I don't think Nintendo would ever go back to Square and tell them make
Yeah.
this
I
for us.
know.
Yeah, they'd be like,
Man,
"No, we
like,
can
I
do
would
that,"
be
and then
so
they give it to
stoked.
somebody else to do.
No,
I don't
just
think-
give it to
yeah,
me, man.
If it was to happen today, I think they would make it, but they would give it to somebody else.
Somebody
I don't
else
think
would
Square
make
Enix would be involved.
Yeah. One
And-
last
and
one
look,
quick. Oh no, go ahead, man.
Just do it. I was gonna say,
Yeah,
just
it's
do it.
like-
I don't.
yeah.
I agree.
Just
No, I
give it
agree.
to
I
me,
love
man.
that game.
or what I would want is for Paper Mario to go back to what made Paper Mario good. Like go back
The recent
to
ones were kind of wonky.
the 64 or the Cube era and make one that's more like that and not like the rotating battlefield or the sticker book and all that other crap. Like,
Definitely, like that would be
Did they
so
ever
cool.
put
Roll it
Mario
back.
RPG on that Switch Online thing or no? They should.
They could. I'm surprised.
should.
I'm surprised Square stuff isn't on it. Like, but
Yeah.
like Final Fantasy 2 and 3, like you would
3.
think they should be on
Absolutely.
there. And 1.
Absolutely.
One last franchise that should be brought back that I know Kyle will agree with me the minute I say it is Splinter Cell.
Yes.
Oh yeah, definitely.
They keep talking about like they're working on something, and then you hear like, well, maybe not, well, maybe they are. They did that great DLC for one of the Ghost Recons where they brought back Michael Ironside. It was great, like great cutscene. Like I don't care about Ghost Recon that much, but like great cutscene with him. They made a Metal Gear Solid joke in that.
Just
cutscene.
restart the whole thing. Just restart the whole thing. The next game is
just
called
call it
Splinter Cell. Retire Sam Fisher. Make it somebody else.
Make it somebody else. Yeah,
Make it his daughter.
I would be all for it at this point.
Make it his daughter.
Yeah.
How about that?
That's fine. But that franchise really needs to come back. Like there's some really incredible games. So.
It has such like the high points of that series are so high. Like
they are.
Yeah.
Like 2, 3, Blacklist is incredible. It slips a little bit.
What was the one where he was looking for his daughter? Like the last one that Mike, I can't think of it was Conviction. Is that what's called?
Conviction was.
I really liked Conviction. Yeah.
Conviction and Blacklist were both good. Double Agent is where it was like, something happened.
Double
here.
Agent, I think Pandora Tomorrow was kind of a little iffy.
Yeah,
Chaos Theory
was
was
great.
probably
And
the
even the
best.
first one is
probably
really
my
good.
favorite one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Chaos Theory was also a huge jump in like graphics.
Oh god, it was incredible. The multiplayer
like
in those games,
360 game,
so good.
Easily would work today. So that's a good one I didn't even think
Yeah.
of. So, well, as always, thank you to everybody who emailed in. As always, you can email us at podcast572@gmail.com. I will tell you, I definitely will read them. You can also send us your game recommendations.
Yeah, recommendations.
I can't say I always read them because, like, I can't always say I'll put them in here because if they involve a news story, like, I'm going to talk about it anyways.
Right.
But I appreciate when you email in regardless.
Yeah, definitely.
Stories.
Otherwise,
stories,
GameStop questions.
Tell us about your collection finds. Like we like to hear that.
Yeah,
stuff
for
too.
real.
Like, yeah,
we don't get
anything
to hear about
you want
that
to
very
email
often.
to us about
Anything.
any of this stuff.
Yeah.
Heck,
as
if you
always,
guys even
we'll be
want to
back in
sell
2
some
weeks.
stuff to us,
Or give is good too.
Give
yeah,
it.
you
Email
want
in,
us to open our own.
I'll set up a PO
You want
box.
us to open our own
no
video
problem.
game store? Yeah.
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 But yeah, as always, we'll be back in another 2 weeks with another edition of Podcast 572. Thank you, as always, for listening.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks.